Chapter 1333. Zenyuanzi's arrival silenced the two worlds past. Sage-to-be was the most powerful existence in the Eldritch world. Zenyuanzi's power was not something the cultivators of the two worlds pass could resist. All the cultivators near the two realms pass lowered their heads under the overwhelming pressure. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. I want to know what happened in the two worlds pass these days. Zenyuanzi floated down and landed above the two worlds pass. He waved his hand, and a cloud condensed into a cloud platform. Zenyuanzi sat cross-legged on the cloud platform, glanced at the two worlds pass, and slowly closed his eyes. Greetings, Grand Immortal Zenyuanzi. In a moment, several figures rose into the air, flew to the edge of the cloud platform, and bowed to Zenyuanzi. These people were the most powerful figures in the vicinity of the two realms pass. There were both human cultivators and demon cultivators. Rise. Zenyuanzi waved his hand and said flatly, "Tell me what happened in the past few days." Yes. Zenyuanzi's power was not something these small figures could resist. Moreover, this was not a secret, and there was no need to take the risk to hide it. Grand Immortal Zenyuanzi, 2 days ago, a foreign cultivator used a treasure that could destroy souls in a fight, and was recognized as the soul-dispersing gourd fragment. Then a fight broke out. Demon Lord Dabii of the demonic sect, Golden Cicada of the Buddhist sect, and Bull Demon King all fought for the gourd fragment. Then, the successor of Red Cloud appeared and defeated Bull Demon King and Golden Cicada with the Kanate Chi catching technique, and took the gourd fragment. Several important figures of the two realms pass hurriedly told Zenyuanzi what had happened from beginning to end. The gourd fragment and the successor of Red Cloud appeared? And Golden Cicada, Demon Lord Dabii and Bull Demon King? Zenyuanzi nodded and waved at them. "I know, you may leave." Yes. They bowed and left as if they had been pardoned. Only Golden Cicada of the Saints sect came? I'm afraid he just happened to be here. Fragments of the soul-dispersing gourd had appeared many times recently. Apart from the fragment that Mingi had snatched away the first time, many more appeared one after another. Everyone got something. Even Zenyuanzi himself got a gourd fragment. However, the fragments of the gourd had disappeared for countless years. Now they had reappeared in such a large number, and there was even a descendant of the Red Cloud. This was too much of a coincidence. Did the successor of my brother Hong Yun do this on purpose? Or is it because of fate that the primordial violet Qi is about to be born? Zenyuanzi pondered for a while, and then smiled while stroking his beard. "Brother Hongyun, I don't believe that you died that year. With your abilities and the primordial violet Qi in your hands, even if you can't escape death, you should be able to leave yourself a chance of survival and reincarnate. So, whether it's the gourd shards or the descendant of the Red Cloud, they're all tricks to cover up your reincarnation, right? Since Brother Hongyun has returned from the heavenly tribulation, I will naturally protect you." Zenyuanzi nodded with a smile. "So, let's find my martial nephew first." Xiao Chun stretched out his hand and waved it. A dense power of the earth surged out. A thick and heavy book slowly unfurled in the bright yellow light. This was the Book of Earth. The Book of Earth, formed by the embryonic membrane of heaven and earth, was also the foundation of the untainted land and the authority to control the power of the earth. This was the origin of Zenyuanzi's title of Ancestor of Earthly Immortals. Just like how Mingi controlled the Blood Sea, Zenyuanzi controlled the Book of Earth. They were part of the untainted land and represented the vast land. This was also the reason why Zenyuanzi could survive until now when the sages controlled the untainted land. After all, if Zenyuanzi was forced into a corner, he could imitate Mingi and explode the Book of Earth to destroy the untainted land. Under the cover of the Book of Earth, even the sages can't see what's happening here. Zenyuanzi smiled and took out a fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd from his sleeve. He raised his finger and a cloud of light rose from his fingertip. He pointed at the fragment of the gourd. I've learned Brother Hongyun's Kanate Chi genuine method. Since we share the same origin, I'll be able to find you and bring you back soon. The cloud of light fell on the fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd. With a buzzing sound, the fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd in Zhen Yuanzi's hand immediately resonated with the power of the same origin. He's here indeed. Following the connection, Zhen Yuanzi found a power that resonated with the fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd in his hand. This must be the descendant of Hongyun. Just as he was about to take the descendant of Hongyun over, Zhen Yuanzi suddenly sensed something from the fragment of the gourd in his hand. Zhen Yuanzi was stunned. Could it be that Brother Hongyun's descendant and his reincarnation are both here? Zhen Yuanzi's heart skipped a beat. He waved his hand quickly. Boom! In the vast yellow light of the Earth Book, a ginseng fruit tree rose into the sky. Green light covered the sky, and another layer of green light was added on top of the yellow light. If it's really the reincarnation of Brother Hongyun, I was a little reckless just now. Fortunately, only I know about the secret skill of sharing the same origin. Otherwise, the reincarnation of Brother Hongyun would be exposed to the sages. No matter from the perspective of brotherly love or the primordial immortal Qi, if it was really the reincarnation of Hongyun, he could not be exposed. I've got a great harvest this time. Not only did I find the descendant of Hongyun, but I also found a person who is suspected to be the reincarnation of Hongyun. Zhen Yuanzi was overjoyed. He stretched out his hand and yellow light swept out. Near the gate of the two realms, 2 targets were wrapped up in the Earth Book, and all traces were covered. But the noise I made just now will definitely be seen by someone. I have to leave quickly and return to Wu Zhuang Taoist Temple. If he did not return to his base, he would be blocked on the way. The 2 people who were suspected to be the descendant of Hongyun and the reincarnation would not be safe. Boom! The sky was full of light. Zhen Yuanzi jumped up, turned around, and ran away. Taoist friend Zhen Yuanzi, you caught my people, and you want to leave without saying goodbye? Just when Zhen Yuanzi rushed out of the gate of the 2 realms, a blood light flashed in front of him. An old man in a red robe with a sinister face blocked his way with a sneer. Mingi? Damn it! Zhen Yuanzi was shocked. So fast? Mingi is in seclusion in the Blood Sea. How did he get the news and come here so quickly? Mingi, you despicable man. Go to hell. At this time, Zhen Yuanzi did not hesitate at all. He directly attacked without hesitation. If he did not defeat Mingi, perhaps more people would attack him. The situation was very critical. Of course, he had to make a prompt decision without any hesitation. Chapter 1334. Bastard! Angered by Zhen Yuanzi's attack, Mingi hurriedly unleashed the Yuan Tu and Avici swords to block the attack. Boom! Vast azure light shook the world as it crashed down on the Nether River Patriarch. Heaven and earth crumbled under that one blow. Mingi hadn't fully recovered from his self-detonation of the Blood God's son not long ago, and his power had dropped significantly. Even after unleashing the Yuan Tu and Avici swords to block the attack, he was still sent flying hundreds of miles away. Preposterous! Mingi was shaking with rage. The Yuan Tu and Avici swords turned into 2 dark red dragons that roared into the air, bursting with a monstrous aura. Zhen Yuanzi, you've captured one of my men and are still being so unreasonable. Do you think I'm a pushover? When it came to ruthlessness and courage, the Nether River Patriarch had never been afraid of anyone. With a murderous glint in his eyes, the Nether River Patriarch went berserk. Boom! 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 Like 2 raging dragons, the Yuan Tu and Avici swords whistled through the air and blasted at Zhen Yuanzi without stopping. Damn it! Zhen Yuanzi naturally wasn't afraid of Mingi. Even if Mingi was at his peak, he wouldn't be afraid. The problem was that his Earth Book still contained the heir of Hongyun and the suspected reincarnation of Hongyun. If this continued, Zhen Yuanzi would be fine, but the heir of Hongyun and the reincarnation of Hongyun would probably be shaken to death. Universe in the sleeve. With a wave of his sleeve, Zhen Yuanzi used the world-renowned universe in the sleeve technique. A giant black hole appeared in his sleeve, and a boundless suction force seemed to engulf the world and sweep across the world. As the black hole swept across, Zhen Yuanzi abruptly sucked the Yuan Tu and Avicii swords into the universe in the sleeve. Zhen Yuanzi, seeing this scene, Mingi was dumbfounded. He wasn't worried about his Yuan Tu and Avicii swords. He wasn't worried at all. While Zhen Yuanzi's universe in the sleeve was powerful, it was naturally a peerless killing weapon against those weaker than him that couldn't be stopped at all. However, Mingi, who was on par with Zhen Yuanzi, could not be suppressed by universe in the sleeve. Ginseng fruit, reverse spiritual energy, erupt. 7 or 8 ginseng fruits rushed out of the huge ginseng tree. Green light erupted violently as the ginseng fruits turned into Ewood heavenly thunderbolts, blasting viciously at the Nether River Patriarch. Boom, boom, boom. Green light flashed and thunder rumbled. At this moment, Mingi was stunned by Zhen Yuanzi. Isn't self-destruction my specialty? When did Zhen Yuanzi learn this skill? There are only so many ginseng fruits in total. You used 7 or 8 of them as Ewood divine thunder. You are really generous. Furthermore, Zhen Yuanzi, are you out of your mind? Mingi vomited blood from the explosion. He roared furiously and waved his hands. The Yuan Tu sword and Abi sword burst out violently, slashing open Zhen Yuanzi's universe in the sleeve. Zhen Yuanzi's qi and blood were surging, and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Are you out of your mind? Mingi raised the Yuan Tu sword and glared at Zhen Yuanzi. Great Mercy is my disciple. Why did you capture him? Even if you did, do you have to fight so hard? Great Mercy? Zhen Yuanzi shuddered. Great Mercy? I captured the Great Mercy Demon Lord? I captured your disciple? What the F***ck did you do? Don't you know? Did a donkey kick you in the head? Mingi roared in anger. Did I capture the wrong person? How is this possible? This is impossible. Zhen Yuanzi was shocked. He could not believe this at all. However, seeing Mingi like this, Zhen Yuanzi could not help but glance at the Earth Book. Is it really the Great Mercy Demon Lord? And the other one is Golden Cicada? He saw 2 figures in the Earth Book. One was the Great Mercy Demon Lord holding a jade flute, and the other was a bald monk shining with golden light. It was obviously Golden Cicada. What was going on? At this moment, Zhen Yuanzi was confused. He had used Brother Hongyun's secret technique to sense the power of the same origin with the gourd shard. He had found traces of the true skill of Khanate Qi on these 2 people. He was the only one in the world who knew this secret technique. The secret technique would not be wrong. But why was it the Great Mercy Demon Lord and Golden Cicada? One was Mingi's disciple, and the other was Tathagata's disciple. These 2 people could not be related to Hongyun. Zhen Yuanzi, I know you have always wanted to monopolize Hongyun's relic. However, do you think that by capturing my disciple, you can threaten me? Do you think you can make me give you the soul-dispersing gourd shard? You're delusional. Mingi grabbed the Yuan Tu sword and stared at Zhen Yuanzi coldly. His eyes shone with a cold light. Mingi thinks I kidnapped the Great Mercy Demon Lord to threaten him? Yes, he does not know Brother Hongyun's secret technique. He does not know that I am looking for Hongyun's successor. So, Zhen Yuanzi turned his head to look at Demon Monarch Great Compassion and Golden Cicada in the Earth Book. He took a deep breath and said, My secret method can't be wrong. There is only one possibility for this to happen. They are Hongyun's descendant and Hongyun's reincarnation. Zhen Yuanzi, are you going to let them go or not? Mingi pointed his sword at Zhen Yuanzi. For the Nether River Patriarch, it was not like he couldn't abandon his disciple if he couldn't defeat the enemy with brute force. But Zhen Yuanzi was not in the category of cannot defeat. If he allowed Zenuanzi to take away his disciple, how could Mingi survive in the eldritch world? Where would he put his face? Taoist Mingi, your disciple is destined to be with me. I have invited him to my residence as a guest. Why are you making a fuss? Since Zenuanzi suspected that the great Mercy Demon Lord and Golden Cicada were related to Hongyun, there was no way he would let them go. He could only brace himself against Mingi's pressure. Destined to be with you? Good, good, good. Patriarch Mingi was so angry that he laughed. He waved his hands and released the Yuan-Tu and Avicii sword. You're learning from me? Then there's nothing to say. Murderous dark red sword Chi soared into the sky. Mingi swung the two swords of slaughter and chopped down at Zenuanzi's head. Bang, bang, bang. The two sage-to-be experts fought with real fire. They fought until the sky darkened and the earth shook. Master, help! Amitba! I am Golden Cicada. Seniors, why are you fighting? Why don't we just call it quits? While Mingi and Zenuanzi were fighting fiercely, the great Mercy Demon Lord and Golden Cicada in the Earth Book sensed what was going on outside. Both of them spoke. One of them called for help, while the other mediated. Zenuanzi, you've captured Tathagata's disciple? Ha 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 ha. Just based on your courage, this old man admires you. Patriarch Mingi was stunned at Golden Cicada's words. Then, he laughed out loud. You dare to capture a saint's disciple? Zenuanzi, you're really confident. Chapter 1335. You dare to capture Tathagata's disciple? Let's see how you're going to deal with this. The Nether River Patriarch jumped out of the circle and put away his longsword. To Mingi, Zenuanzi had clearly lost his mind. Demi-saints were very powerful and could dominate a region. But that also depended on who they were compared to. Demi-saints were naturally the most powerful beneath saints. But no matter how powerful a demi-saint was, they would not dare to provoke a saint. Zenuanzi must have gone mad to capture Tathagata's disciple. The Nether River Patriarch had no confidence in fighting a lunatic. Wait. The Nether River Patriarch suddenly remembered the rumor of Hongyun's successor at the Two Worlds Pass. Could it be Golden Cicada is Hongyun's successor? The Nether River Patriarch came to a realization. No wonder Zenuanzi was so crazy. No wonder he dared to capture a saint's disciple. So that was what was going on? Tathagata was also scheming. He had taken Hongyun's successor as his disciple because he wanted the primordial violet vapor. The primordial violet vapor was the foundation of becoming a saint. Saints did not need it. But if he had another saint under his wing, he would have the upper hand. One had to know that saints had disputes too. The primeval world was not big, but it was not small either. The 8 saints were equally powerful and restrained each other. If one sect had 2 saints, they would have the upper hand. At that moment, the Nether River Patriarch's imagination completed and figured out the truth. But why did Zenuanzi capture Great Sorrow? What was he up to? Great Sorrow was Mingi's disciple, and Mingi knew him like the back of his hand. Naturally, he did not think that Great Sorrow had anything to do with Hongyun's successor. No matter what you're up to, I won't interfere. You've already provoked Tathagata. Let's see how you're going to deal with this. Mingi sneered and retreated. He did not plan to attack. Humph! Zenuanzi breathed a sigh of relief when Mingi stopped attacking. He snorted and turned to leave. Capturing Great Compassion Fiend Lord was nothing, but capturing Golden Cicada still put a lot of pressure on Zenuanzi. He did not know that he had captured Golden Cicada, but now that he knew that Golden Cicada was Tathagata's disciple, Zenuanzi was naturally nervous. Zenuanzi thought of the same thing as Mingi. He knew that there was no way he could detain Golden Cicada. Once Tathagata made his move, there was no way he could keep Golden Cicada. Tathagata, you actually schemed so deeply? How can I let you do as you wish? In Zenuanzi's opinion, Golden Cicada was definitely not the successor of Hongyun. After all, how could Hongyun's inheritance compare to the true inheritance of a saint? Golden Cicada would never choose Hongyun's cultivation method. Since the Golden Cicada master could sense the secret technique, he could only be the reincarnation of Hongyun. If I can't keep the Golden Cicada master, I'll have to hand him over, but I have to let the Golden Cicada master know my true identity. Thinking of this, Zenyuanzi gritted his teeth and pressed a finger on the earth book. A stream of rosy clouds genuine chi whizzed out and rushed into Golden Cicada's mind. Golden Cicada, you are the reincarnation of my brother Hongyun. You must remember your origins. Tathagata definitely did not have good intentions when he accepted you as his disciple. You must be careful. Think of a way to find an opportunity to defect. Zenyuanzi cast a spell and released a stream of innate red cloud genuine chi, trying to awaken Golden Cicada's red cloud genuine spirit. Then, Amitba. After casting the spell, Zenyuanzi felt as if a gate had been opened. Boundless Buddhist light poured out like a river. My cicada shedding and nirvana samsara technique has been broken. Master, save me! Golden Cicada master felt as if his mind had exploded. The Buddhist light that filled the sky surged like a river bursting its bank. Feeling as if he was about to explode, he hurriedly cried for help. Cicada shedding and nirvana samsara. After 10 lives of reincarnation, the Golden Cicada master would be able to break through and become a Buddha. But now, Zenyuanzi had broken through his 10th life when he just ascended to the golden immortal realm. The Buddhist cultivation that he'd accumulated in his previous 9 lives exploded in an instant. The Golden Cicada master would soon explode from his own cultivation. Merciful Buddha! A Buddhist chant burst out in the void, and the mighty Buddhist light covered the sky and earth. Amidst the brilliant Buddhist light, a Buddhist palm that seemed to be made of gold descended from the sky, blocking out the sun. Ha 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 ha! Tathagata has made his move. Ha 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 ha! You're courting death, Zenyuanzi. The Nether River Patriarch was rolling around in laughter at the sight, unable to catch his breath. You're vicious, Tathagata. From Zenyuanzi's point of view, this was Tathagata's revenge on him for awakening the true spirit of Hongyun's reincarnation. Boom! Gritting his teeth, Zenyuanzi unleashed all his strength to block the Buddhist palm descending from the sky. Even so, the Golden Cicada master was about to explode from the burst of Buddhist power. Tathagata didn't have the time to tangle with Zenyuanzi, nor did he have the time to explain. Moreover, why would saints need to explain their actions? There was a loud rumble as vast and boundless power violently erupted. The dazzling golden Buddhist palm destroyed Zenyuanzi's attack with a single strike, breaking through the void and reaching into the earth scroll to grab the Golden Cicada master. Buddhist light flashed, suppressing the Golden Cicada master's raging cultivation. What a pity, my last reincarnation is broken just like that. Having escaped death, the Golden Cicada master felt the cultivation in his body. Face full of sorrow, he put his palms together and sighed wordlessly. Tathagata, you seeing that Hongyun's reincarnation had fallen into Tathagata's demonic hands again, Zenyuanzi's heart was filled with hatred. It was a pity that Tathagata had annihilated Yi Futian's attack with a single blow. Even if Tathagata was merciful and didn't kill, Zenyuanzi was still severely injured and vomited blood after being hit by the aftershock. Buddha is merciful. With a Buddhist chant, the dazzling golden Buddhist palm grabbed the Golden Cicada master and tore through the air, disappearing instantly. Ha 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 ha! Zenyuanzi, it's time to settle our score. The Nether River Patriarch was very relaxed after beating a drowning dog. He swung his 2 swords and slashed at the heavily injured Zenyuanzi. How dare you take advantage of my weakness, Nether River? Zenyuanzi was so angry that he vomited blood, but could only block with all his might. Another great battle ensued. The heavily injured Zenyuanzi was having a hard time holding on. "I'll return your disciple to you." Zenyuanzi wasn't an indecisive person. He knew that he couldn't continue fighting in his current state, so he might as well leave the demon lord great compassion and ensure his own safety first. However, Nether River wasn't an easy person to deal with. If Zenyuanzi wanted to escape, he would have to shed a layer of skin. A day later, with a boom, on a cliff 10,000 li to the north of the Two Realms Pass, a figure fell from the sky and heavily smashed into the cliff, directly collapsing it. What the hell? What's going on? A streak of sword light shot out, as straight and unyielding as a pine tree. The sword light blasted away the rubble, and a young man in green rose on his sword. You? The young man in green looked at a man in Taoist robes who had fallen to the ground, and then turned to look at the collapsed cliff. "My cave abode was destroyed by you?" Cough, cough. "Sorry." Zenyuanzi was covered in dust. He coughed and looked at the young man in green apologetically. "I was being chased by a great enemy and fell here while escaping. I'm sorry to have disturbed your cultivation." "Oh, I see. It's fine, it's fine." The young man in green was very simple and kind. He forgave Zenyuanzi immediately and asked with concern, "Is your injury serious? I have healing elixirs here. I spent a lot of money to exchange for them." As he spoke, the young man in green took out a jade bottle and handed it to Zenyuanzi. "This is the Eternal Creation Elixir, a very good healing elixir. Take it." Eternal Creation Elixir. Zenyuanzi felt the young man's sincerity. He took the elixir and glanced at it. He smiled bitterly in his heart. "If I didn't blow up all the ginseng fruits in order to defeat Nether River, I wouldn't need such an inferior elixir." He swallowed the elixir. The vitality of the Eternal Creation Elixir helped Zenyuanzi recover a little. He could use the ginseng fruit tree and the earth book now. "Thank you for the elixir." Zenyuanzi turned over and stood up. He smiled at the young man in green. "May I know your name? I'll repay you generously for giving me the elixir today." "I'm Li Yu." The young man in green had a simple smile on his face. "You don't need to repay me generously. I didn't save you for anything. I'm cultivating merits and doing good deeds. I saved you for one good deed a day." "Ha ha! One good deed a day." Zenyuanzi laughed and had a good impression of this simple young man. He was ready to give him a good opportunity and repay him generously. Zenyuanzi knew that he was so miserable because of this simple young man, he would vomit blood. Chapter 1336. How did Li Yu trick Zenyuanzi? It seemed to be a normal thing without any trace of a conspiracy, but in fact it was made by Li Yu. Remember the gourd fragments? These gourd fragments were all made by Li Yu, and each of them was loaded with a blank system. Zenyuanzi used the gourd fragments that Li Yu had tampered with to perform the Red Cloud secret method to sense the descendant of Red Cloud and the so-called reincarnation of Red Cloud. The result was the target designated by Li Yu. The gourd fragments were all made by Li Yu, so of course, whoever Li Yu said the target was. Every successful scam is built on the basis of information asymmetry. This was Li Da's self-conclusion. Zenyuanzi used the right method to get the wrong information, so it was inevitable that he would fall into the fire pit. Li Yu had two purposes to trick Zenyuanzi. One was to give Li Yu a powerful background so that he could rise up in the open. The other purpose was to get the secret of Red Cloud that Zenyuanzi had mastered. In the untainted world, Zenyuanzi was the closest to Red Cloud. Li Yu wanted to find the Hong Meng immortal Qi, and Zenyuanzi was a suitable breakthrough point. Young hero. After a while, Zenyuanzi, who had recovered some of his strength, stood up and bowed to Li Yu. He took out a cyan jade pendant and handed it to Li Yu. "I can't repay you for your help this time." "You're welcome. You're welcome." Li Yu hurriedly declined. I didn't save you for your repayment. You don't have to do this, sir. Haha. Young hero, you're so pure and kind. It's really rare. Zenuanzi nodded in admiration. However, although your foundation is solid, your cultivation method is a little shallow. Your method can only be practiced to the primordial unity genuine immortal realm at most, and there's a huge risk. With that, Zenuanzi waved the jade pendant in his hand. I don't have anything valuable on me, and this jade pendant is not a treasure. It's just a token. The Western Heox States Qianyuan Mountain will open its gates to recruit disciples next month. This token of mine will allow you to enter the Qianyuan Mountain. Qianyuan Mountain? What is that place? Liu looked at Zenuanzi in confusion. He really didn't know what Qianyuan Mountain was. The Heavenly Cloud Mountain is the fifth manor of the 10,000 Years Mountain, the ancestor of the Earth Immortals, the same ruler as the world, the sect of the great immortal Zhen Yuan. Don't tell me you haven't heard of Zhen Yuanzi? If you enter Qianyuan Mountain and perform well, it's not impossible for Grand Immortal Zhen Yuan to take you in as an inner disciple. As Zenuanzi spoke, a trace of embarrassment flashed across his face. Even Zenuanzi himself felt a little embarrassed for boasting so much. Grand Immortal Zhen Yuan? If I enter Qianyuan Mountain, I will have a chance to become a disciple of Grand Immortal Zhen Yuan? This. Liu had an extremely happy look on his face. He was so excited that his entire body was trembling. Haha, I didn't expect this young man to admire me so much. Seeing Liu's performance, Zenuanzi was secretly pleased and smiled while stroking his beard. In fact, Liu just had a hard time holding back his laughter. I have some friendship with Qianyuan Mountain. Take the jade pendant and go to Qianyuan Mountain to learn from your master. Zenuanzi handed the jade pendant to Liu and smiled with cupped hands. I'm very grateful for your help. I still have something important to do, so I'll take my leave first. If fate wills it, I'll see you next time. Thank you, senior. Liu put away the jade pendant and cupped his hands with a smile. Take care, senior. The green light flashed, and Zenuanzi's figure instantly broke through the void and disappeared. Qianyuan Mountain? I've never heard of this place. Could it be that Zenuanzi casually created a Qianyuan Mountain in order to fool me? Liu's understanding of Zenuanzi stopped at the 5 Villages Temple and the ginseng fruit. He really didn't know if there was really such a Qianyuan Mountain. Anyway, I'm torturing Zenuanzi so that this alias can obtain a better background and be able to rise openly. Qianyuan Mountain it is. Picking up the jade pendant, Liu looked at it and smiled again. Zenuanzi really has nothing. How is this a jade pendant? It's clearly a leaf of the ginseng fruit tree. Well, the leaf of the ginseng fruit tree was much more valuable than the jade pendant. He picked up the leaf of the ginseng fruit tree that had turned into a jade pendant and touched it with his soul. A map appeared in the jade pendant. It was the location of Qianyuan Mountain. As expected, there is no Qianyuan Mountain. This is clearly the edge of the Longevity Mountain. Liu had been to the 5 Villages Temple of the Longevity Mountain not long after he came to the Untainted Land. Although he only went to the 5 Villages Temple and did not travel all over the Longevity Mountain, Liu saw clearly that this so-called Qianyuan Mountain was only a part of the Longevity Mountain. The Longevity Mountain is Zenuanzi's nest. I didn't notice it last time, but it seems that there really is such a sect? As a sage-to-be, Zenuanzi could be considered a top figure in the Untainted Land. He shouldn't only have 2 Daoist children, Qing Feng and Mingyu, and not even a disciple, right? Without a disciple, he had to do everything himself. This was too unsuitable for a sage-to-be. Mingyi had created a blood sea demon sect, and Kuan Peng had occupied the northern underworld and ruled the northern underworld water demons. Haotian even controlled the heavenly court. Zenuanzi only had one sect, which was already considered shabby. Then let's go to Qianyuan Mountain. The Two Worlds Pass was very far away from the Longevity Mountain. With Li Yu's cultivation, even if he flew all the way without sleeping or resting, it would take about half a month to reach the so-called Qianyuan Mountain. A month later, the Qianyuan Mountain would open its doors and recruit disciples. Therefore, Li Yu could only set off immediately. Releasing a light and soaring into the sky, Li Yu found the right direction and rushed toward the Qianyuan Mountain. It hurts. Help. 3 days later, when Li Yu was flying on his sword, he suddenly heard a cry for help from the cliff below. Li Yu paused and turned to look at the cliff below. Seeing a white-haired old man lying on the ground, he raised his eyebrows and almost blurted out, "Wheat bastard. *T. Zenyuanzi is testing me." Li Yu saw that the white-haired old man was clearly Zenyuanzi in disguise. Li Yu's Chaos Eye was a passive skill. As long as he didn't fully release the Chaos Eye, he could see the essence of some things and wouldn't attract attention. Therefore, Li Yu clearly saw that the white-haired old man was clearly Zenyuanzi, who had just left. "Bastard! I tricked you. Are you going to trick me back?" Li Yu was extremely depressed, but he had to follow the script. It was really frustrating. Zenyuanzi was an old ghost who had lived for billions of years. Zenyuanzi didn't believe Li Yu's one good deed a day. This was testing him. Chapter 1337. Old man, what's wrong with you? Li Yu, who had accumulated virtue, was naturally righteous. Without hesitation, he hurriedly landed beside the white-haired old man and asked with a concerned expression, I was bitten by a venomous snake when I went into the mountain to pick herbs." The white-haired old man was dying. His face was a little black, and he pointed to his calf with difficulty. "Help! Help! Old man, don't worry. I will save you." What was the saying? You had to finish your appointment even if you had to hold back tears. Zenyuanzi fell into the trap, and Li Yu also fell into the trap. This was simply, damn it. Li Yu, who was simple and kind by nature, could only try his best to save this white-haired old man. However, you want to play with me? You can come up with any questions. I have plenty of ways. Wasn't it just snake venom? How big of a deal was the detoxification pill? The system could make a bunch of them for you. Li Yu sneered inwardly. He took out a pill bottle and poured out a pill. "Old man, this is the detoxification pill. You will be detoxified after taking this pill." He helped the white-haired old man up and put the pill into his mouth. The pill spread, and the snake venom was instantly removed. "Thank you, young master. Thank you, young master." Since the poison had been removed, Zenyuanzi couldn't pretend anymore. So the white-haired old man was saved. He was overjoyed and grateful, and he quickly kowtowed to Li Yu. Logically, Li Yu would definitely stop the white-haired old man. "However, Zenyuanzi, if you want to play games with me, I will let you kowtow first." When the white-haired old man kowtowed, Li Yu was putting away the pill bottle and didn't seem to see it. So, Zenyuanzi gloomily found that if he wanted to play the role well, he could only kowtow for real. "Oh, old man, you can't. When Zenyuanzi finished kowtowing, Li Yu happened to put away the pill bottle. He seemed to have just reacted and quickly helped the white-haired old man up. "Elder, the snake venom in your body has been neutralized. Junior still has matters to attend to, so I'll take my leave first." Li Yu smiled and cupped his fists. Then, he turned around and left. He rode a streak of light and soared into the sky. "This kid is really pure and kind?" Looking up at Li Yu's receding figure, Zenyuanzi frowned. What he did just now didn't seem to be a disguise. "But we still need to test it out." With a flash, the white-haired old man disappeared. Then, *tch, give me your life. A few days later, when Li Yu had entered the depths of the western Heok state, he suddenly saw two figures rushing out from behind a mountain in front of him. The person at the front was fleeing in a hurry. It was a beautiful woman in white with unparalleled beauty. Behind the white-robed woman was a demon with a lion's head and a human's body. He raised a huge, spiked club and rode a demonic wind as he chased after her. Lion Camel King, I have no enmity with you. You coveted my treasure, so how could you do such a thing? Her clothes were disheveled, and her face was pale. She angrily rebuked and fled in a hurry. Intentionally or otherwise, she actually charged in Li Yu's direction. I'll cut the grass. Zhen Yuanzi, that's enough. In Li Yu's eyes, the so-called unparalleled beauty in white was clearly that old bastard Zhen Yuanzi in disguise. You're an old man, but you're playing with women's clothes. Aya, my eyes are going blind. I'm going blind. At this moment, Li Yu suddenly regretted seeing through the truth. As a quasi-sage, it wasn't strange that Zhen Yuanzi knew a bit of transformation ability. However, no matter how powerful the transformation ability was, it could only change one's body. Clothes were real clothes. Therefore, when Li Yu saw through the truth in his eyes, that old bastard Zhen Yuanzi was wearing women's clothes and acting coy over there. What an eyesore! Insolent demon, how dare you commit such a crime in broad daylight? Suppressing his disgust, the righteous Li Yu let out a righteous roar. He waved his hand and unsheathed his longsword. A strong, upright, and tenacious green pine sword chi pierced through the air and into the clouds. Pine needle sword rain. Break. The sword light trembled. Above the tall and verdant pine tree, there was a sudden burst of green light that filled the sky. The dense sword chi of pine needles, like a storm, shot towards the head of the Lion Camel King. Where did this wild brat come from? How dare you interfere with my business? With a roar, the lion-headed brute's body exploded with yellow light, turning into a giant yellow lion. It roared at the sky, and the wind howled, the sound waves shaking the world. Lion's roar. This was the Lion Camel King's innate ability. The roar shook the world, and the sound waves swept across all directions. Rumble! The surrounding mountains were shattered by this roar. Li Yu's pine needle sword energy exploded and disappeared without a trace. Not only that, this vast sound wave carried the power to pulverize everything, sweeping towards Li Yu. Shit! Zhen Yuanzi, what the **ck are you doing? Li Yu's current avatar was only at the level of an immortal. He could only be considered at the bottom of the immortal realm. This Lion Camel King was at least at the sky immortal realm. Above the immortal realm was the earth immortal, and above that was the sky immortal realm. In this situation, Li Yu's disguise was actually allowed to challenge the Lion Camel King with the strength of an immortal, 2 levels above him. Don't let go of the mountain, take root in the broken rock. Since he'd fallen into the trap, he had to finish the fight even if he had to hold back his tears. Li Yu roared angrily and swung his long sword. The verdant and tall pine tree soared into the sky, bursting with a clear radiance. Tenacious, unyielding, unforgiving, the vast and mighty pine sword chi was like a strong pine tree that stood proudly at the peak of the mountain, tall and straight, unyielding, upright and firm. Boom! The Lion Camel King's mighty sound wave was blocked by this sword. Although it was difficult, although he barely managed to block this move. Li Yu's face was pale, and blood seeped from the corner of his mouth. However, the Lion Camel King's lion roar, the innate ability of a sky immortal realm demon, was blocked by an immortal realm cultivator. This kid, he has such a temperament? He has such swordsmanship? Zhen Yuanzi, who had turned into a woman in white, was shocked by Li Yu's swordsmanship talent. Zhen Yuanzi only wanted Lion Camel King to use force to intimidate Li Yu. He wanted to see how Li Yu would perform in the face of a great enemy. He didn't want Li Yu to block this attack. Zhen Yuanzi was satisfied to see Li Yu not backing down. He was about to block the Lion Camel King's lion roar when he realized that Li Yu's sword was almost enough to block the attack. Young master, the Lion Camel King's cultivation is profound. Run. The woman in white looked at Li Yu with gratitude. She rushed to Li Yu's side and grabbed Li Yu. Thank you for your help, young master. Let's go. With that, the woman in white waved her hand and shot out a golden light. With a boom, sword light filled the sky. I've self-destructed my sword pill. It can block the Lion Camel King for a while. Let's run. The woman in white pulled Li Yu and shot into the sky. Chapter 1338. Roar. The Lion Camel King's howl shook the heavens. However, the lady in white and Li Yu had already run far away. Thank you, the lady in white was about to thank him when she was interrupted by Li Yu. Who are you? Li Yu gripped the hilt of his sword and stared coldly at the woman in white. His expression was extremely unfriendly. Young master, what is the meaning of this? The woman in white was shocked. She didn't know what Li Yu meant. With Zenyuanzi's cultivation, he was very confident that Li Yu would not be able to see through his transformation. You're still pretending? I saw you being chased by demons, so I pulled out my sword to help. Who knew, you didn't need my help at all. You could have escaped long ago. Li Yu snorted. The sword pill you just released could have stopped the Lion Camel King. Why didn't you release it earlier? Sword pills are precious. More precious than your life? If so, why did you throw it out just now? Li Yu snorted and waved his hand. Forget it, I can't be bothered with your business. Goodbye. In fact, Li Yu was too lazy to play games with Zenyuanzi. He found a random reason to throw a tantrum and confuse him so that he could escape. With a flick of his sleeve, Li Yu flew into the air and rushed far away. Zenyuanzi was stunned for a while before realizing that Li Yu was already far away. Zenyuanzi had prepared a beauty falling in love or something like that, but found that he could no longer continue. Alright, at least this shows that this kid is brave and smart, and has a pure nature. Not bad. Zenyuanzi smiled and did not plan to continue testing him. He had gained a lot from testing him twice. Plus, Li Yu had found a loophole in the sword pill explosion. This meant that he was already alert. If he continued testing him, he might be seen through. That would be the opposite of what he wanted. Phew! It's finally over. Li Yu heaved a sigh of relief when there were no more so-called tests in the later part of the journey. Zenyuanzi's cross-dressing figure was too much of an eyesore. Li Yu said that he absolutely could not tolerate it. If Zenyuanzi came again, Li Yu didn't know if he would be unable to resist beating him up. Without Zenyuanzi's interference, Li Yu's journey was very smooth. 20 days later, when a vast mountain range appeared in front of Li Yu, he knew that he had arrived. Strange peaks were spread out in all directions, and the great mountains were towering. This was a huge mountain range that stretched for thousands of miles. In the distance, in the center of the mountain range, there was a huge mountain. It seemed to be able to support the heavens and the earth, piercing straight into the clouds. This mountain was the 10,000 Years Mountain. However, Longevity Mountain was shrouded in mist. Ordinary cultivators couldn't see its location at all. Li Yu's current location was at the western end of the mountain range. There was still a long way to go before he reached the peak of Longevity Mountain in the middle. At the western end of the Longevity Mountain was the so-called Qianyuan Mountain. Strange peaks and waterfalls flowed. An ancient and majestic mountain gate stood tall and imposing. On the stone wall in front of the mountain, the words, Qianyuan Mountain, shone brightly under the sunlight. At this moment, thousands of cultivators were gathered at the foot of Qianyuan Mountain. There were human cultivators as well as a few demon beasts. At this moment, these cultivators had set up camp outside Qianyuan Mountain, waiting for the Qianyuan Mountain to open its doors and recruit disciples. Even though there were thousands of people gathered outside Qianyuan Mountain, the surroundings were quiet and peaceful. There was no fighting, and even the demons who were usually enemies were very calm. Zenyuanzi really does have the aura of an earth immortal. Liu smiled as he walked into the vast campsite, and he casually found a place to rest at the side of a small lake while waiting for the Qianyuan Mountain's disciple recruitment ceremony to begin. Great Tao Qianyuan. After waiting for a few days, a bright light burst out from Qianyuan Mountain one morning, and a mighty voice resounded through the sky. Amidst the light, an auspicious cloud flew out of Qianyuan Mountain and hung high in the sky. A Taoist priest with a feathered crown and a crane cloak stood on the cloud with a horsetail whisk in his hand. He looked at the people outside the mountain gate with a smile. I, Qianmingzi, am the Foreign Affairs Elder of Qianyuan Mountain. This Qianyuan conference will be hosted by I. Greetings, Immortal Qianmingzi. The group of cultivators outside the mountain gate bowed respectfully towards Qianmingzi. Qianmingzi? His cultivation is somewhat similar to the aura of the ginseng fruit tree, but his essence is much worse. It seems that the inheritance of Qianyuan Mountain is probably the cultivation method that Zenyuanzi comprehended from the ginseng fruit tree. Liu followed the crowd and cupped his hands in salute. However, he was secretly observing Qianmingzi. The rules of the Qianyuan conference are the same as before. Qianmingzi took out a scroll and waved it. The scroll burst out with light and slowly floated down. Boom! When the scroll fell outside Qianyuan Mountain, there was a loud bang. In the sky outside Qianyuan Mountain, an immortal mansion palace hidden in the white clouds appeared. The white clouds drifted leisurely, and in the clouds and mist, there was a staircase hidden in the clouds and mist. The railings were carved with white jade, and the ground was paved with green jade. The beautiful staircase went up to the clouds and reached the immortal mansion palace. Cultivators below the immortal realm who can enter Qianyuan sect are qualified. Cultivators above the immortal realm who have already formed the foundation to practice the cultivation method of our sect is not easy. Generally speaking, we don't accept such cultivators. However, the great Tao is ruthless, but there is a glimmer of hope. If you have a great opportunity, great perseverance, great wisdom, and great courage, you can climb the heaven staircase and break through the heaven road. If you can reach the top, you can also enter the sect. Qianmingzi said and pointed. On the other side of the staircase, there was a steep and narrow rugged mountain road full of thorns. Heaven staircase? Heaven road? Liu raised his eyes to look at the rugged mountain road in front of him and frowned slightly. Could it be that this fellow Zenyuanzi came here specially to torment me? Is he taking revenge on me? Climb the heaven staircase and break through the heaven road? Haha, since the establishment of Qianyuan Mountain, there has only been one person who has been able to climb the heaven staircase and break through the heaven road. That is the last direct disciple of the earth immortal ancestor, Taoist Qianyuan, of Qianyuan Mountain's cold abyss cave. Just as Liu frowned and looked at the so-called heaven road, he heard a white-robed cultivator beside him discussing with someone. Yes, the heaven staircase can't be climbed, and the heaven road can't be broken through. For so many years, besides Taoist Qianyuan, no one has climbed the heaven staircase and broken through the heaven road. This road is already a dead end. Another cultivator echoed. That's why it's not a good thing to become an immortal too early. With the low-level cultivation method of a small sect, even if one becomes an immortal, they won't be able to go far on the path of cultivation. Is that so? Hearing the discussion of these two people, Liu smiled. He knew that this was not Zenyuanzi deliberately tricking him, so he didn't care. As for not being able to break through the heaven road? Haha, since someone had already succeeded, Liu had absolute confidence. With his ability, how could he be worse than that Taoist Gui Qianyuan? Chapter 1339. Fellow cultivators, the Qianyuan assembly has officially begun. Qianmingzi, who was standing in the clouds, waved his horsetail whisk and said loudly to the cultivators below, according to the old rules, cultivators of the immortal realm and above can ascend the stairway to heaven first. As he spoke, Qian Mingzi glanced at the crowd below and asked loudly, "Are there any immortal realm cultivators who want to learn from me? Are there any immortal realm cultivators who want to ascend the stairway to heaven and challenge the gate of heaven?" After his question, there was silence all around. Haha, actually, I also know that no one has come to challenge the gate of heaven. However, this is the rule, so I still have to ask first. Alright, if there is no one, we will. Qian Mingzi smiled and shook his head. Suddenly, he saw a young man in a green robe walking out of the crowd. This was a handsome young man who looked to be in his teens. Yes, he was in his teens. Although there were all kinds of old monsters in the eldritch world with different appearances, there were many who looked like teenagers and even many who looked like children. However, Qian Mingzi did not just distinguish age from appearance. He clearly saw that this young man's bone development stage was only in his teens. Young man, don't be impatient. The entrance assembly has to wait for a while. In Qian Mingzi's opinion, this young man should be a little impatient and walked out in advance. He did not think that this young man was going to challenge the gate of heaven and ascend the stairway to heaven. Wait for a while? This young man in a green robe was naturally Li Yu. Li Yu pointed in the direction of the stairway to heaven and looked at Qian Mingzi in confusion. Didn't you say that cultivators of the immortal realm and above can ascend the stairway to heaven first? What? You entered the immortal realm? You want to ascend the stairway to heaven? Hearing Li Yu's answer, Qian Mingzi was shocked. Firstly, this young man in his teens had actually entered the immortal realm? This level of talent was already extremely shocking. Secondly, someone actually wanted to ascend the stairway to heaven and challenge the gate of heaven? How many years had it been? How many years had it been since something like this happened? Could it be that he did not know that apart from Tao Master Qian Yuan, no one else had challenged the gate of heaven since the establishment of Qianyuan Mountain? Ascending the stairway to heaven and challenge the gate? Someone actually challenged the gate of heaven. The cultivators outside Qianyuan Mountain were all surprised and looked at the green-robed youth in front of them with pity. What a pity! To be able to ascend to the immortal realm in his teens. His talent was extraordinary. Unfortunately, his background is too poor, and he can't obtain the true technique of the great Tao. He won't be able to go far on the path of cultivation. Yes, the gate of heaven cannot be broken through. This person has no chance of entering the sect. Haha, there's a time when being too talented isn't a good thing. Look, if it wasn't for the fact that his aptitude was too good and he hadn't ascended to the immortal realm, it would have been much easier for him to enter the sect. Some sighed, some sympathized, and some gloated. In the eyes of everyone, it was absolutely impossible for Li Yu to ascend the heavenly stairway, pass through the heaven entrance, and enter Qianyuan Mountain in the end to become a disciple of the earthly immortal realm's ancestor. It is indeed a pity. Qian Mingzi glanced at Li Yu and sighed inwardly. If his aptitude was slightly worse, if he didn't cultivate that hard and didn't advance to the immortal stage, it wouldn't be hard for him to enter the sect. Now it's a pity. Zhenren Qianming, can you climb the stairway to heaven now? Li Yu pointed at the stairway to heaven, in front of him with a smile on his face. He was calm and unruffled, as if he did not care about the discussions of the crowd. Of course. Qian Mingzi returned to his senses and nodded with a smile. Of course you can. Thank you, Zhenren. Li Yu nodded and cupped his hands before walking towards the entrance of the stairway to heaven. His footsteps were calm and unhurried, as if he was taking an idle stroll in a courtyard, and it was neither fast nor slow. It seemed as if it wasn't the stairway to heaven that was difficult to ascend but a broad path. Young man, wait a moment. When Li Yu arrived at the entrance of the stairway to heaven and was about to take a step, Qian Mingzi suddenly stopped him. What instructions do you have, Zhenren? Li Yu turned around and asked with a bewildered expression. Oh, there's still one more procedure. Qianmingzi nodded with a smile, and then he waved his hand and a jade slip floated out to descend into Li Yu's hand. You haven't recorded your name. Recorded my name? Zhenren Qianming actually asked him to record his name? It's utterly hopeless to pass through the gate of heaven. Doesn't Qianyuan Mountain never record the name of such a cultivator? Seeing that Qianmingzi took out a jade slip and asked Li Yu to record his name, the cultivators were astonished. Ha! Only now did you remember that you haven't asked for my name? Li Yu smiled slightly and reached out to touch the jade slip. With a turn of his spiritual power, he recorded his name and origin on the jade slip. Li Yu, Nanzhan Department State, Great Shang of the Central Region, Yongzhou Prefecture, Qinshan Sect? Qianmingzi took the jade slip and saw the name and origin written on it. He nodded slightly. Okay, now you can climb the stairway to heaven and pass through the gate of heaven. Thank you, Zhenren. Li Yu cupped his hands and stepped into the entrance of the stairway to heaven. Buzz, with a trembling sound and a flash of clouds, Li Yu passed through a screen of light and entered the rugged stairway to heaven. Li Yu. What a pity. Well, since you can't climb the stairway to heaven and pass through the gate of heaven, I will introduce you to a better place. It's a pity to bury such a talent and such a disposition. Putting the jade slip into his sleeve, Qianmingzi looked at Li Yu, who stepped onto the stairway to heaven, and sighed in his heart. How could Qianmingzi not know the difficulty of the stairway to heaven and the gate of heaven? Back then, immortal Qian Yuan succeeded in passing through the gate of heaven and became the 48th successor disciple of Wu Zhuangguan. The other brothers also had some interest in the gate of heaven, and each of them had tried to pass through it privately. No one succeeded. Except for Qianmingzi, no one else had succeeded in passing through the 9 gates of heaven. To climb the stairway to heaven and pass through the gate of heaven, one must have the opportunity, perseverance, wisdom, and courage. Even Qianmingzi, who had succeeded in passing through the gate of heaven, admitted that he had relied on luck to pass through the gate of heaven. If he had to do it again, there was no possibility for him to pass. I wonder how many gates of heaven he can pass through? Qianmingzi looked at the figure who was trudging on the rugged mountain road and sighed. He shook his head. Well, these cultivators below the immortal realm are about to start the entrance test. The entrance test is about to start. Please report your names and origins. Qianmingzi waved his sleeve, and countless jade slips flew out from his sleeve and fell into the hands of the cultivators below, allowing them to record their names and origins. Very good, the registration has been completed. All of you, boom! While Qianmingzi was speaking, suddenly, a loud sound shook the heaven and earth, and the sky was filled with multicolored light. Amidst the colorful rays of light, a magnificent and splendid gatehouse appeared in the air, shrouded in the clouds. The majestic and gorgeous gate opened and a young man in a green robe stepped into the gate. He passed through the first gate of heaven? So fast? Qianmingzi turned his head and saw the young man in a green robe, who had calmly stepped through the gate of heaven. He was so shocked that his mouth was wide open and did not recover for a long time. That year, even junior brother Qian Yuan was not so fast. This is passed through the first gate of heaven? There is actually someone who can pass through the gate of heaven? Really, too powerful. Yes. Other than Qian Yuan Zhenren, no one has ever successfully passed through the first gate of heaven. Everyone present was dumbfounded by the scene of him successfully passing the trial. Actually, I don't want to act tough. Li Yu stepped through the gate of heaven and smiled with his hands behind his back. Chapter 1340. You can only blame Zhen Yuanzi for this. To make such a rule, if Li Yu wanted to enter the sect, he could only climb the heavenly stairway and pass the heavenly gate. After passing the first heavenly gate, there was a steep and narrow mountain path behind. On the high cliff, there was a small path that looked like a ladder. It was less than 2 feet wide, and there were even many places that were broken and broken. Other than that, there were all kinds of dangers on this heavenly stairway. Poisonous insects, thorns, traps, attacks from birds of prey, all kinds of difficulties were simply endless. Unfortunately, this is just a painting. Yes, the entire Qianyuan Mountain Assembly was actually a painting that Qian Mingzi opened. All the tests and everything was a world in the painting. This kind of trick like the world in the painting is also something that I have played. Back in the desolate world, Liu used a painting to play the Chinese ghost story game with Ji Ning and the others. Compared to Liu's methods, Zhen Yuanzi's world in the painting was just SOSO. The Eye of Chaos had already seen through everything. All kinds of difficulties and obstacles were simply child's play in front of Liu. Therefore, after Liu passed the first heavenly gate, he didn't stop at all. He easily stepped on the heavenly stairway and walked towards the second heavenly gate. Not afraid of difficulties and obstacles, his heart is as firm as iron, and he doesn't shrink back. This kid's talent is outstanding, and his temperament is excellent. Unfortunately, Qian Mingzi sighed again. Even if he passed the first heavenly gate very quickly, the later stages are too difficult. Liu passed the first stage, but there was no need to pay too much attention to him, because it was almost impossible for anyone to copy Qian Mingzi's method. No one could pass the 9 heavenly gates. Alright, focus. Qian Mingzi shouted to the people below, "Don't be distracted, you all still have to go through the entrance test." Yes. Hearing Qian Mingzi's shout, everyone was startled and woke up. They knew that now wasn't the time to watch the show. They still had to pass the entrance test. Taking a deep breath, everyone calmed themselves down and focused their attention on the entrance test that was about to begin. Everyone had a serious expression on their faces as they waited for the test to begin. Boom! Suddenly, another earth-shattering explosion sounded. Brilliant rays of light illuminated the world as the second divine gate appeared. The crowd, who had just calmed down, was once again filled with shock. The green-robed young man suddenly passed through the second gate of heaven. How long had it been? How long had it been? Are you trying to break through? Or was he in a hurry? The legendary 9 gates of heaven that were said to be incomparably difficult and impossible to pass. How could it be so easy? Don't tell me he can really pass through the 9 heavenly gates? That's impossible, right? Qian Mingzi was also shocked for a long time. How long did it take me to pass the second stage? 3 days? Or 5 days? He didn't even have 15 minutes, right? Why was the gap between people so huge? Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, a series of rumbles exploded in the void as heavenly gates appeared one after another. Amidst the resplendent rays of light, that green-robed young man sped all the way, advancing courageously and unstoppable. In this short moment, he actually charged through the 6th gate of heaven in one breath. How is this possible? Qian Mingzi was shocked until his jaw almost dropped. Was this still breaking through? This speed of yours isn't any worse than flying on a sword, right? Could it be that the difficulties and dangers along the way simply didn't exist to you? My God, what's going on? The cultivators below were all dumbstruck, completely scared silly. Wasn't it said that passing through was incomparably difficult? Wasn't it said that no one could pass through? Why do I keep feeling that that fellow is just like taking a stroll, casually charging through? Don't tell me, the gate of heaven hasn't been opened for many years and is already broken? Right, it must be broken. Otherwise, how could it be passed through so quickly? To the group of cultivators below, passing through the gate of heaven was like taking a stroll. This completely exceeded their imagination. How could it be broken? Qian Mingzi was naturally clear that the tests of the entire Qian Yuan Grand Meeting were a painting personally drawn by the ancestor of the earthly immortal realm, Grand Immortal Zhen Yuan. How could such a treasure be broken? Could it be that He's really able to pass through the 9 gates of heaven? This isn't possible, right? It's not that the first 6 gates of heaven can't be passed through, but it's utterly impossible to pass through the last 3. Qian Mingzi himself had passed through the gate of heaven, ascended the stairway to heaven, and stepped into this gate of heaven. He was extremely clear about the difficulty of every test. The first 6 tests were extremely difficult, but so long as one's heart was firm, so long as one had willpower, courage, and wisdom, it wasn't impossible to pass through. But the last 3 gates of heaven tested one's fortune. Fortune, who could say for sure about this thing? How could it be considered as having fortune? This was completely relying on luck. Bang! The 7th gate of heaven appeared. The azure-clothed youth slashed with his sword, and the gate of heaven opened as if it wasn't obstructed at all. He took a step forward and floated away. Bang! The 8th gate of heaven appeared. The azure-clothed youth still didn't stop in the slightest and casually waved his hand. The opening of the gate of heaven was like opening the door to his own home, and he walked over just like that. Bang! The 9th gate of heaven appeared. When the azure-clothed youth walked to the front of the gate of heaven, he didn't even need to push the door, and the 9th gate of heaven opened by itself. Not only that, but thousands of auspicious clouds, thousands of auspicious qi, flowers fell from the sky, and golden springs surged from the ground. Endless strange phenomena appeared, as if the gate of heaven was welcoming the arrival of this youth. What is this situation? Qian Mingzi was already stunned, as if he was petrified, stunned. What happened to the incomparably difficult? What happened to the no one can pass through? When I tried to pass through the gate of heaven that year, my hands were already smashed, but I still couldn't open this door. Even my sword was smashed, but I still couldn't cut this door. Now were it actually opened by itself? Even acting like a lackey, cheering and welcoming the arrival of the other party. It was as if they were afraid that the other party wouldn't enter. What was this situation? Ascending the stairway to heaven, passing through the gate of heaven, the path of heaven, just like that, pass through? The crowd of cultivators below, one by one, rubbed their eyes fiercely, feeling that their eyes were playing tricks on them. They couldn't believe everything in front of their eyes. Didn't they say that no one could pass through? Now, he walked through it so easily and casually. What was this? After passing through the 9th door, I will be in front of you. Liu stepped through the 9th door with a face full of smiles, then appeared on the cloud platform where Qian Mingzi was standing. Immortal Qian Mingzi, does this mean that I have passed? Lifting his eyes to look at Qian Mingzi, who was still in a daze, Liu waved his hand and greeted him. Passed? Yes, passed. Passed. Qian Mingzi came back to his senses and nodded repeatedly. Then, he looked at Liu with a face full of doubts. Can I ask, how did you pass the last 3 gates? The last 3 gates? Aren't the last 3 gates the easiest? I just walked around casually and passed. Liu answered with an honest face. Just walked around casually and passed. Qian Mingzi suddenly felt a pain in his heart. Why was the gap between people so big? Chapter 1341. Then, can I enter the sect? After passing the Heaven Gate and Heaven Road, the entry task was completed. Liu planned to hand in the task and officially enter the sect. Passing the Heaven Gate is in accordance with the rules, so of course you can enter the sect. Although it was strange, but since this guy passed the Heaven Gate, according to the rules, he must be admitted. Qian Mingzi nodded. You are now a disciple of Qianyuan Mountain. Wait! Suddenly, a loud shout came from the void. A rainbow light flew through the air and landed in front of Liu and Qian Mingzi. The cloud light changed, and an old man in a Taoist robe with a feathered crown and a starry robe appeared. A vast and majestic aura surged out. Greetings, senior brother Qianyuan. Seeing the old man with a feathered crown, Qian Mingzi quickly bowed. Qianyuan. Hearing Qian Mingzi's greeting, Li Yu knew that the old man with a feathered crown was the leader of Qianyuan Mountain, immortal Qianyuan. Although Qianyuan Mountain was just an organization of 5 villages temple, it was the only sect under Zenyuanzi. Qianyuan, who was in charge of Qianyuan Mountain, must be deeply trusted by Zenyuanzi. But when I want to enter the sect, he shouted, wait? What does this mean? Junior brother Qianmingzi, this young man can't enter the sect carelessly. Immortal Qianyuan nodded to Qianmingzi, and then turned to Li Yu. His face was stern, and a light flashed in his eyes. You, where did you come from? Where did I come from? Li Yu frowned. My name is Li Yu, and I came from the Green Mountain sect of Yongzhou in the Nanzhan section continent. You're lying. Qian Yuanzi roared and pointed at Li Yu. You just entered the immortal realm and came from an unknown small sect. It's impossible for you to pass the 9 heaven gates in half an hour. How dare you hide it? Just because of this? Li Yu was stunned for a moment, and the words, damn it, came out in his mind. Was it also a problem to complete the entry task? Could it be that passing too quickly was also a disadvantage? Yes, because of this. Qian Yuanzi snorted. Passing through the 9 heavenly gates in an hour is definitely not something an immortal realm cultivator can do. You hid your origin and infiltrated my sect. What are you planning? Plotting, the corner of Li Yu's mouth twitched. So I really do have a plan? However, I am plotting against Qian Yuanzi. You, the ghost of Qianyuan Mountain, are not qualified to be plotted against by me. Hurry up and confess. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Qian Yuanzi roared again, and an overwhelming pressure enveloped Li Yu's head. I hate people with persecutory delusions the most. Li Yu shook his head helplessly. He looked up at Qian Yuanzi and said, Someone told me that with this thing, I can come here to learn martial arts. As he spoke, Li Yu took out the token that Zenyuanzi gave him and threw it on the cloud platform at his feet. Humph, I didn't expect that guy to be a liar. How hateful. Li Yu threw the token that was made of the leaf of the ginseng fruit tree on the cloud platform. His face was full of anger, as if he had been greatly wronged. Buzz, as soon as the token fell, there was a sudden tremor. Green light soared into the sky, and the shadow of a ginseng fruit tree appeared in the green light. Seeing this scene, Qian Yuanzi and Qianmingzi were stunned. Master, what kind of trick are you playing? You have taken a disciple outside. Why did you ask him to break through the gate of heaven? Why didn't you bring him back directly? Is it fun to torture people like this? Ahem. I asked him to take out the token to enter the sect. Who knew that he didn't take it out? Instead, he wanted to break through the gate of heaven? This situation, Zenyuanzi. I am innocent. Big Boss Li, you didn't make it clear. How would I know that he didn't need to break through the gate of heaven? Qian Yuanzi, Qianmingzi, there was a dead silence. It was very awkward. Qian Yuanzi, bring him to see me. Zenyuanzi's voice transmission made Qian Yuanzi heave a sigh of relief. No wonder he was so freakish. No wonder he could break through the 9 gates of heaven so easily. With Master's token, he would have a smooth journey. However, he had just offended his future junior brother. He had to make up for it. Junior brother. Oh, young Master Li, Master asked me to bring you to meet him. Please come with me. Qian Yuanzi hurriedly released the cloud platform and led Li Yu into the sky on a cloud. He soared into the clouds and soared into the sky. After passing through many towering mountains, there were white clouds and waterfalls in front of them. A mountain that pierced through the clouds appeared in front of them. Young Master Li, this is the Longevity Mountain. Qian Yuanzi pointed at the immortal mountain in front of them and introduced it to Li Yu with a smile. Master's Tao is to respect heaven and earth. He wants to live forever and exist with the world. This 10,000 years mountain is named after the meaning of eternal life. As expected of the sacred land of immortals. Li Yu pretended to praise. He also knew that Qian Yuanzi was trying to ease the awkwardness just now. The cloud platform went around the mountain ridge and landed in front of a blue-tiled Taoist temple on the mountain peak. It was blue-tiled and white-tiled. It was neither luxurious nor majestic. It was only quiet and leisurely. This was the Five Villages Temple. The atmosphere is deep and mysterious. It was not the first time Li Yu came to the Five Villages Temple. However, he still had to pretend to be amazed. Master's cultivation is profound. His casual arrangement contains the Tao of heaven and earth. Qian Yuanzi smiled and nodded. He gestured with his hand. Young Master Li, Master is in the temple. You can go and meet him yourself. Thank you. Li Yu cupped his hands at Qian Yuanzi and stepped into the Five Villages Temple. After entering, there was a hall. The furnishings in the hall were simple and elegant. There was no magnificent scene. There was only a faint immortal cloud lingering in the hall. In the middle of the hall, a figure sat cross-legged on a futon amidst the immortal cloud. The aura was vast, as if it penetrated the universe and existed with heaven and earth. You're here? The dense cloud light slowly dissipated, revealing a man in a Taoist robe with a smile. This person was wearing a purple gold crown and a carefree crane cloak. His shoes were on his feet and a ribbon was tied around his waist. His body was like a boy's and his face was like a beauty's. His 3 whiskers fluttered under his chin and crow feathers covered his temples. It was the ancestor of the Earth Immortals, Zhen Yuanzi. Looking at the teasing look in his eyes, he seemed to be saying, "Are you surprised? Are you shocked? You didn't expect it, right? I didn't expect that the poor cultivator you saved with a pill was actually the ancestor of the Earth Immortals, Zhen Yuanzi, right?" That pretentious look made Li Yu speechless. You want to show off? You want to show off in front of me? Where did your confidence come from? You? Why are you here? Li Yu looked at Zhen Yuanzi with a face full of shock, as if he could not believe the current scene. Zhen Yuanzi stroked his beard and smiled. He was secretly proud. I scared you quite a bit, didn't I? I understand now. As Li Yu pondered, he seemed to have suddenly realized the truth. Do you understand now? Zhen Yuanzi nodded with a smile. Yes, I understand. Li Yu nodded seriously. You should be the servant who does odd jobs in the 5th manner. Well, the floor is quite clean. You do things quite seriously. Puff! Zhen Yuanzi vomited blood. His hand trembled and he almost tore off the beard on his chin. Servant! 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 Zhen Yuanzi's resentment lingered endlessly. Chapter 1342. The unpleasant reunion was over. Li Yu became the 49th successor disciple of Zhen Yuanzi, as he wished to become a disciple of Wu Zhuangguan. You've entered the immortal realm and your foundation has been formed. But your cultivation method is too poor. What you need to do now is to cleanse your cultivation and rebuild your foundation. Zhen Yuanzi gave Li Yu the Longevity Sutra and sent away this disciple, who made him vomit blood. Although Zhen Yuanzi is a crossdresser, his taste is not bad. Li Yu's disguise cultivated the Evergreen Sutra, which was a wood cultivation method. The Longevity Sutra given by Zhen Yuanzi was a great Tao True impartation created by Zhen Yuanzi with the ginseng fruit tree as the foundation. The ginseng fruit with the innate spiritual root was extraordinary in nature. This Longevity Sutra was indeed much more powerful than the Evergreen Sutra. They were not at the same level at all. For ordinary people, it's impossible to rebuild one's foundation without 8 to 10 years of hard work. For me, it's just a matter of a thought. But Li Yu did not rebuild his foundation immediately. One had to know that Li Yu did not come here to practice the 10,000 Longevity Sutra. He came to Zhen Yuanzi for the Hong Meng Immortal Vapor. Zhen Yuanzi knows Hongyun very well. He should have some clues about the Hong Meng Immortal Vapor. So, the best way is to ask Zenyuanzi to find the Hong Meng immortal vapor for me. Zenyuanzi already had a fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd. Liu added a blank system to it. However, in order to avoid alerting the enemy, Liu did not use the function of the blank system. Of course, the key trump card had to be used at the crucial moment to turn the tables. When we were at the Two Realms Pass, Zenyuanzi cared so much about the descendant of Hongyun and the reincarnation of Hongyun. Could it be that, to find the Hong Meng immortal vapor, I have to use the descendant of Hongyun and the reincarnation of Hongyun? That was very likely. Liu pondered for a moment before an idea struck him. If that's the case, I'll send the descendant of Hongyun to you. With this thought, Liu turned his head and looked in the direction of the Two Realms Pass with a smile on his face. Child Long, please fool Zenyuanzi for me. How could Li De not tamper with the opportunity that he had given away? Hence, Li De pointed out with his finger and started to cheat people again. Outside the Two Realms Pass, proud and elated, young Master Dragon, who had risen again, regained his status as the Son of Providence. After ruthlessly dealing with those traitors, young Master Dragon, who was full of himself, felt that his future was bright. In 1 year, he could beat up a golden immortal, and in 3 years, he could trample a quasi-sage to death. Within 10 years, he could even look forward to becoming a sage. After all, this was Hongyun's legacy. Ancestor Red Cloud was definitely qualified to become a sage. After receiving Ancestor Hong Yun's inheritance, Mr. Long was confident that he had inherited the right to become a martial sage. Buzz, suddenly, red clouds appeared in young Master Long's mind, and red clouds filled the sky. The words, Fifth Manor of Longevity Mountain, could be seen amidst this vast expanse of light. This is. Seeing the words, Longevity Mountain's Fifth Manor, in his mind, young Master Dragon was shocked. Legend has it that Zenyuanzi and Ancestor Hong Yun were best friends. Some time ago, Zenyuanzi also came to the Two Realms Pass to look for the descendant of Hong Yun. Now, this strange phenomenon has appeared. What is the reason? As a time traveler, young Master Dragon naturally knew that Hong Yun had obtained the Hong Meng immortal vapor. Previously, when Zenyuanzi came to look for him, young Master Dragon recalled the plot of killing and robbing in novels. Out of caution, he did not show up. Now that such a scene appeared in his mind, it seemed that Hongyun's legacy and the Fifth Manor had produced a resonance, as if something in the Fifth Manor was calling him. Could it be that the Fifth Manor has other treasures left behind by Ancestor Hong Yun? How can the sect's treasures be left outside? I have to take them back. With the concealment of Ancestor Hong Yun's secret technique, he was not afraid that others would see through his true origin. Therefore, it was not a big problem to go to the Fifth Manor to check it out. Let's not expose my identity first. I'll go to the Fifth Manor to check it out as a rogue cultivator. It is said that this period of time is when the Qianyuan Mountain under the jurisdiction of the Fifth Manor is recruiting disciples. I can use this as an excuse to check out the situation. Young Master Dragon was still cautious and did not completely trust Ancestor Hong Yun's best friend. It was necessary to hide his identity and check it out. Therefore, young Master Dragon rode a white cloud and flew all the way to the Longevity Mountain. 10 days later, young Master Dragon had already arrived at the Qianyuan Mountain and arrived at the Qianyuan Assembly that was being held. At this moment, thousands of cultivators were gathered at the foot of the Qianyuan Mountain. Some were here to participate in the assembly, and some were here to watch the fun. There were also many cultivators who were above the immortal realm. It was said that at the Qianyuan Assembly a few days ago, there was an immortal realm cultivator who broke through the divine gate and became the disciple of the ancestor of earthly immortals, the great deity Zhen Yuan. Many itinerant immortals seemed to have seen hope and rushed over to participate in the Heavenly Gate Challenge trial. Therefore, young Master Dragon's arrival was not considered eye-catching. You think you're not eye-catching, but actually, you're very eye-catching. Liu flicked his finger and triggered the soul-dispersing gourd fragment in Zhen Yuanzi's sleeve. Suddenly, Zhen Yuanzi felt the soul-dispersing gourd fragment in his sleeve vibrate slightly, as if it was responding to something. This is... He reached out and took out the soul-dispersing gourd fragment. Seeing the gourd fragment shining with red light, Zhen Yuanzi was shocked. The secret skill of Red Cloud that I used before was triggered? Could it be? He used his divine thought to explore the gourd fragment. Following the reaction, Zhen Yuanzi saw a young master dragon at the foot of the Qianyuan mountain. This is clearly the aura of the true skill of Kanei Qi. What's going on? Could it be that this person is also the successor of Brother Hong Yun? Shocked, Zhen Yuanzi suddenly stood up and turned into a ray of green light that shot into the sky. He rushed out of the fifth manor and landed beside young Master Dragon. Suddenly, Mr. Dragon felt a figure appear beside him. He was shocked and turned his head quickly. He saw Zhen Yuanzi standing beside him and staring at him. Zhen, young Master Dragon broke out in a cold sweat and his face turned pale. Damn it, I'm so dead. Zhen Yuanzi caught me. Don't panic and don't say anything. There are too many people here. Marshal nephew, let's talk somewhere else. How about that? Zhen Yuanzi looked at young Master Dragon with a warm and friendly smile. Okay. Zhen Yuanzi's cultivation was too strong. Young Master Dragon had no strength to resist, and could only accept his fate. Okay, Marshal nephew, this way please. As he spoke, Zhen Yuanzi waved his hand. A ray of light flashed and swept young Master Dragon back to the fifth manor in an instant. Very good. Zhen Yuanzi and Long Aotian have met. Let's see if things are as I expected. Li Yu, the mastermind behind the scenes, had entered the state of watching the show. Chapter 1343. I'm Zhen Yuanzi. Do you know who I am? Zhen Yuanzi sat down in the Five Villages Temple and looked at Mr. Long with a smile. Where did you come from? When did you get the inheritance of my brother Hongyun? Hearing Zhen Yuanzi's words and seeing that Zhen Yuanzi had confirmed his identity as Hongyun's descendant, Long Aotian was shocked again. His mind was in a mess and he completely forgot the excuse that he had thought of earlier. Don't worry. In the Five Villages Temple, even the sages can't hear our conversation. Don't worry. Zhen Yuanzi thought that Long Aotian was afraid of being exposed and did not dare to answer. He quickly explained. All right. Even the sages can't do anything. How can I, a Tai genuine immortal, escape from your evil clutches? Mr. Long sighed helplessly and could only tell the truth. My name is Long Ao. I'm from the Dragon Mountain Fort in Su Province, Nanzhan Continent, Central Region. I once bought a refined iron ore from a stall and accidentally found the fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd in the refined iron ore. A few days ago, I entered the Two Worlds Pass and was attacked. I took out the fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd and defeated the enemy with the soul-dispersing divine power. However, I exposed the fragment of the soul-dispersing gourd and was attacked by the great compassion demon monarch and the others who took it away. The fragment of the gourd was stolen and my followers betrayed me. My cultivation was destroyed and I was severely injured. I was stranded in a rundown temple in the Two Worlds Pass. At the moment of life and death, I got the inheritance of Master Hongyun from the broken statue in the temple. Young Master Dragon told Zhen Yuanzi the whole story. Got the fragment of the gourd from the Dragon Mountain Fort in Su Province? Got the inheritance of Brother Hongyun in the rundown temple in the Two Worlds Pass? Hearing Mr. Long's answer, Zhen Yuanzi frowned. Forget about the fragment of the gourd. But why did Brother Hongyun's inheritance appear in the Two Worlds Pass? Huh? Is there a problem? Mr. Long was confused. I really got the inheritance in the Two Worlds Pass. I got the true skill of Kanei Qi, the Kane Chi Great Palm, the soul-dispersing divine power. As if he was worried that Zhen Yuanzi did not believe him, Mr. Long waved his hand and released a white cloud was a palm. Yes, it is the Kane Chi Great Capture. It is indeed Brother Hongyun's inheritance. This is true. Zhen Yuanzi nodded and then shook his head again. But it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be at the border of the two realms. Li Yu's eyes lit up when he heard this. He pricked up his ears and listened attentively. Since Zhen Yuanzi said, it shouldn't be at the border of the two realms, did he know where the inheritance of Hongyun should have appeared? Grand Immortal Zhen Yuan, what do you mean by that? Mr. Dragon was also confused by Zhen Yuanzi. I was worried about exposing my identity as the descendant of Hongyun. How come Zhen Yuanzi doesn't believe that I am the descendant of Hongyun? Just call me Martial Uncle. Zhen Yuanzi smiled at Long Outian. Nothing much. It was just a little strange. You have to know, when Brother Hongyun fell, the two-realm pass didn't even exist yet. It hadn't even been built yet. What the hell, I actually neglected this problem. Li Yu, who was watching the show, was stunned when he heard this. Did I expose myself? Martial Uncle, are you talking about this? Mr. Dragon smiled and shook his head. Martial Uncle, when I received Master's inheritance, I couldn't bear the humiliation and wanted to commit suicide. I placed my head on the stone platform below the statue. The reason for receiving the inheritance should be that stone. I see. Zhen Yuanzi nodded. That's right. So, the inheritance left by Brother Hongyun was used as a stone to build the border of the two realms. You're really imaginative. My loophole was covered up by you guys just like that? Thank you so much. Li Yu heaved a sigh of relief and sighed in his heart. Indeed, the details determine success or failure. When cheating others, one must consider the details. What happened just now was almost exposed. Martial Uncle, the reason why I came to Five Villages Temple is because the inheritance in my mind actually resonated with something in Five Villages Temple. At this time, Mr. Dragon had already thrown caution to the wind. Since he had already confessed everything and claimed to be a relative, he couldn't possibly return empty-handed, right? He had to get some benefits, right? Resonated? Zhen Yuanzi glanced at Long Outian and smiled while stroking his beard. Indeed. I was a little doubtful about your identity as Hongyun's descendant. Now that I've heard what you said, my doubts have been dispelled. You are indeed Brother Hongyun's descendant. Brother Hongyun did leave something with me. He waved his hand and a ray of light suddenly shot out from under the ginseng fruit tree in the backyard of Five Villages Temple. An ancient jade box flew through the air and landed in Zhen Yuanzi's hand. Martial nephew, this is what Brother Hongyun left behind. He reached out and opened the jade box. Red clouds filled the sky and illuminated the entire hall. As the red light shone, a red jade pendant was placed in the jade box. In the crystal-clear jade pendant, there seemed to be red clouds flowing, revealing a mysterious aura. This is, looking at the red jade pendant, Mr. Dragon's body shook, and he felt that the genuine qi in his body was boiling and was about to leave his body. Back then, Brother Hongyun knew that he was in deep trouble and could not escape, so he left this jade pendant with me, saying that it contained a shocking secret. Zhen Yuanzi took out the jade pendant and handed it to Mr. Dragon. He sighed and his eyes were filled with hatred. What catastrophe! What could not escape? Wasn't it the scheme of the sages? Everyone below the sages are ants. What is in it? Looking at the jade pendant in his hand and hearing the words, shocking secret, Mr. Dragon thought of a possibility and suddenly trembled. Could it be this is the Hong Meng immortal vapor? Zhen Yuanzi gave it to me just like that? Could it be that he was so sentimental? Was he so loyal? Was he not greedy at all? I don't know what's in it. Zhen Yuanzi shook his head. After Brother Hongyun died, I wanted to avenge him, so I took it out to have a look. However, I couldn't see it. This thing should only be seen by Hongyun's descendant, right? Is that so? Mr. Dragon took a deep breath and raised the red jade pendant in his hand and slowly placed it between his eyebrows. Using the Kane Chi True method, he triggered the red clouds flowing in the jade pendant. Boom! With a loud sound, the red clouds rolled and the red clouds rolled. The red clouds rushed up like dragons and rushed into Mr. Dragon's body, merging with the white cloud genuine chi that Mr. Dragon cultivated himself. My death is not in the Hong Meng immortal vapor. Because I saw the secrets of heaven and earth and saw the truth of the sages, I knew that I would die with no chance to escape. However, because I was unwilling to accept this, I left this message. If you want to uncover the secrets of heaven and earth, if you want to reverse the sky, you can follow my footsteps and find the truth. If you don't want to, you don't have to look into it. Remember, this is the secrets of heaven and earth. You will be punished by heaven if you touch it. If you don't want to die, don't look into it. Chapter 1344. Secret of Heaven and Earth? Mr. Dragon was stunned. What the hell was that? Martial nephew, what message did Brother Hongyun leave? Seeing Mr. Dragon's confused face, Zenyuanzi quickly asked. Master left a message, saying his death was not because of the Hong Meng immortal vapor, but because he knew the secret of heaven and earth and the truth of the saint. That was why he died. Mr. Dragon looked at Zenyuanzi in panic, his whole body trembling. Secret of heaven and earth and the truth of the saint, this. Can I bear it with my weak body? Is the saint someone I can afford to offend? Secret of heaven and earth? The truth of the saint? Zenyuanzi frowned. What the hell is that? Zenyuanzi had known Hongyun for countless years, but he had never heard Hongyun mention anything about it. Now, there was a secret of heaven and earth? That was too strange. Martial nephew, other than that, did Brother Hongyun say anything else? Zenyuanzi looked up at Long Aotian and asked seriously. Master also said that this is the secret of heaven and earth, and those who touch it will be punished by the heavens. Only those who are willing to die can ask about it. If you want to find it, you can follow my footsteps and find the truth. Secret of heaven and earth? Those who touch it will be punished by the heavens? Brother Hongyun, is that the reason for your death? No wonder you died so suddenly that even I couldn't save you. No wonder I couldn't see the message in the jade pendant. You were worried that I would die, so you didn't want me to see it? Zenyuanzi clenched his fists, his face ferocious. But I can't accept it. I can't accept it. Why should the saint rule the world, treat everyone like ants and kill them? Are you willing to die? Ha 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 ha. Brother Hongyun, I've been struggling at death's door for so long, I've been a coward for so long. I've had enough. Why should I be afraid of death? Zenyuanzi took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. His face was ferocious and his eyes were cold. So what if I go against the heavens? I, Zenyuanzi, have had enough of being manipulated by others. Since I've gone against the heavens, I have no regrets even if I die. The vast and mighty pressure covered the heavens and the earth. It was crazy, stubborn, violent, and terrifying. Martial uncle, young Master Long was enveloped by this pressure and was pressed to the ground, almost unable to breathe. Oh, sorry. Not until then did Zenyuanzi realize that his venting of anger had pressed Mr. Dragon to the ground, and he could not stand it any longer. He hurriedly withdrew his chi and resumed his calm appearance of a Taoist master. Martial uncle, you, Mr. Dragon looked at Zenyuanzi in shock. He did not know what was wrong with this cheap martial uncle of his. Oh, it's nothing. Zenyuanzi waved his hand with a smile and looked at Mr. Dragon seriously. You can't tell anyone about the information you just saw from the jade pendant. You can't even think about it. Otherwise, you'll definitely die. I can't even think about it? Young Master Long's face paled, and he gritted his teeth. I will sever this memory. What secrets of the world? It even involved the truth of the saints. How could this thing be provoked by young Master Long's small body? Using his finger like a sword, young Master Dragon fiercely pointed at his forehead. His mind was like a sword, cutting off all information about the jade pendant from his spirit. All right. Zenuanzi nodded. You can cultivate here peacefully. There's a secluded pavilion in the 5th manor. I'll let Qingfeng and Mingyue take you there to settle down. With that, Zenuanzi called Qingfeng and Mingyue over and asked them to take Long Outian to rest. Brother Hongyun, what do you know? Back in the hall, Zenuanzi frowned and fell into deep thought. Hongyun died not because of the Hongmeng immortal vapor, but because he saw the secrets of the world and knew the truth of the saint. What kind of secret is it? What kind of truth is it? And where is the Hongmeng immortal vapor? Zenuanzi clenched his fists tightly, and his face was cold. Brother Hongyun, I need the Hongmeng immortal vapor. I need to become a saint. Only when I become a saint can I avenge you. Only then can I have the power to fight against those saints. If you want to search, you can follow my footsteps and get the truth. Follow my footsteps and get the truth. Footsteps, Zenuanzi suddenly stood up. Could it be there? Yes, Brother Hongyun, the information you left in the jade pendant was not for your successor, but for me. Only I know where your footsteps are. You know, after you die, I can't help but avenge you. I'll definitely look for the Hongmeng immortal vapor and come to see this jade pendant. But it must be very dangerous. Even if I get the Hongmeng immortal vapor, I won't have the chance to become a saint. I'll only die. So you don't let me see it. After billions of years, when your successor is born, I can get this information through your successor. Then I can get the Hongmeng immortal vapor, become a saint safely, and avenge you. Brother Hongyun, is this your plan? Zenuanzi took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. There, the sun was setting and the sky was red. So, that's what happened. After watching the show, Liu also figured out the ins and outs. I'm afraid it's just as Zenuanzi guessed. I'm afraid Hongyun just wants to leave the Hongmeng immortal vapor to Zenuanzi safely and doesn't want Zenuanzi to die. These two good friends were indeed full of love. They trusted each other with their lives. Haha. Since Zenuanzi found Hongyun's footsteps, he'll find the Hongmeng immortal vapor soon. Liu smiled. Zenuanzi's body has merged with the blank system on the gourd fragment. He got the Hongmeng immortal vapor, just like I got the Hongmeng immortal vapor. Zenuanzi needed the Hongmeng immortal vapor to become a saint, and so did Liu. However, Liu's method was different from Zenuanzi's. Liu didn't need it, and he would never merge it with the Hongmeng immortal vapor. He only needed it for research and reference, and as an opportunity to break through the level. If the Hongmeng immortal vapor was really a kind of qi in the 3rd step of chaos, then Liu could definitely find the way to turn himself into chaos by comprehending the Hongmeng immortal vapor. So, Zenuanzi, I hope you can get the Hongmeng immortal vapor smoothly. Liu sighed and shook his head. Of course, he knew that Zenuanzi couldn't get the Hongmeng immortal vapor so easily. Since it involved the secrets of heaven and earth and the truth of saints, Zenuanzi, as a suspect, was definitely the key target of saints and sages to be. Zenuanzi's every move must be watched all the time. Liu knew this, and so did Zenuanzi. Therefore, to get the Hongmeng immortal vapor smoothly, they had to make a comprehensive plan. The apotheosized war has attracted the attention of Saint. This is the best opportunity, and Zenuanzi will definitely use it to get the Hongmeng immortal vapor back. Liu had buried a lot of chess pieces in the apotheosized war. Let's have a good time. It's just that, what exactly is the secrets of heaven and earth, and the truth of the saints? Chapter 1345. In the blink of an eye, 10 years had passed. In the past 10 years, Zenyuanzi stayed in Wuzhuang Taoist Temple. He didn't step out of the gate and didn't go out. It was as if nothing had happened. He didn't seem to care about the secret of heaven and earth, or Hong Meng immortal qi. It was as if there was no such thing at all. However, Liu knew that Zenyuanzi had been preparing for the past 10 years. He was like a crocodile lurking at the bottom of the water, waiting for the opportunity and waiting for the prey. Long Aotian, the successor of Red Cloud, that Liu had created, had climbed up a big tree and was cultivating steadily in Wuzhuang Taoist Temple. As for Liu, in the past 10 years, in addition to rebuilding his foundation with the Longevity Sutra, he had also been waiting. The good show has finally begun. On this day, Liu clearly felt that there was an extremely furious aura above the sky, rushing from the direction of Empress Hua's palace. The Phoenix Luan treasure tent was very beautiful, full of exquisite makeup. The melodies of the distant mountains were jade green, dancing gracefully, her sleeves reflecting her robes. The pear blossoms were beautiful in the rain, and the peonies were enchanting in the smoke. But the enchanting woman had to take action to retrieve the king of Chang'e. King Xian of the Shang dynasty was King Zhou. He wrote a poem in Nuwa's temple. From a literary point of view, this poem was quite well written. But flirting also depended on the target. You, a mortal emperor, were equivalent to the village chief of a small mountain village. With your status, you actually said to the empress, "Sister, do you want to date?" Illidan said, "You are courting death." So you, a country bumpkin village chief, actually dared to flirt with the empress? Once the empress was angry, you could forget about continuing to be the village chief. Someone else would be the village chief. So, the God Investiture War is about to begin? Liu knew that at this time, Nuwa had already sent the vixen out. The vixen planned to transform into Su Daji and harm King Zhou. Su Daji and Shi Shi both did the same thing. They both used their beauty to confuse the king of a country and destroy the country. However, the treatment of the two was completely different. After Su Daji succeeded, she was killed. After Shi Shi succeeded, she became a hero and even found her ideal husband. Therefore, vixens had no human rights. At this time, Su Daji started to enter Chaoga. Liu had already done something and was very clear about Su Daji's whereabouts. Wing Prefecture. A group of knights in bright armor, armed with spears and swords, escorted a dazzling chariot. They raised their flags high and slowly walked out of Wing Prefecture City. Inside this luxurious carriage sat a woman of unparalleled beauty. This was Su Daji. The chariot rolled forward and drove out of Wing State City. It followed the wide road to Chaoga. Suddenly, a gust of wind howled. The sky was dark, and sand and pebbles were flying everywhere. "Be careful! Protect, miss!" The group of knights quickly got into formation, firmly protecting the chariot within the formation. However, how could these mortal soldiers stop the demons? Amidst the howling wind, a wisp of demonic wind swept past and instantly rushed into the carriage. "Hee, what a good skin! It's you!" Under Su Daji's shocked gaze, a beam of light flashed and rushed into her glabella. How could a mortal's soul block a demon? After swallowing Su Daji's soul in one gulp, the vixen officially occupied Su Daji's body. Ice skin and jade bones, a natural beauty. Not bad, not bad. You're even more beautiful than my human form. From now on, I'll use this appearance. Su Daji reached out and picked up the bronze mirror in the chariot. Seeing the appearance in the mirror, she was extremely charming and beautiful. She was very satisfied. Goddess Nuwa ordered me to confuse Xin and cause chaos. This Su Daji, who is about to be sent to Chaoga as a concubine, is just right for me. If she wanted to successfully enter Chaoga's harem, she could only wear this skin and could not use demonic arts to transform into her true body. After all, when entering the palace, she had to be tested. In this primordial world where demons and ghosts were endless, if the Shang dynasty's palace did not have a way to distinguish between demons and ghosts, countless demons and ghosts would have hidden in the palace long ago. After I successfully enter the palace, I can change back to my true body. Su Daji smiled sweetly and seductively. She was full of confidence in her future career as a princess consort. Buzz, suddenly, a pearl hairpin on Su Daji's hair flashed with a ray of light. An invisible force enveloped Su Daji's heart. The power of the great void illusion realm pulled Su Daji into an illusion. Then, Su Daji experienced her life. She entered Chowga, bewitched the king, framed the queen, and framed the loyal. The extravagance of wine and meat, the ferocity of the heart-gouging cannon, the luxury of the deer terrace pavilion, the king was drunk, and the country was in turmoil. Su Daji's mission was completed very smoothly and perfectly. However, as a spy, she did not receive the respect she deserved, nor did she receive the treatment she deserved. What awaited her was only a knife to the head. "Ah!" Su Daji exclaimed and suddenly woke up. Cold sweat broke out all over her body. What happened just now? I saw the future? I saw fate? This is my fate? This is my future? Nuwa, you lied to me. You lied to me. What happened to the fruit of cultivation? What happened to the position of the female immortal of Qingqiu? So everything was fake. Everything was a scam. Su Daji gritted her teeth in anger. However, Nuwa was a saint. She was just a fox demon. She could not resist the orders of a saint. She could not resist this destiny. What should I do? Become Nuwa's pawn and be abandoned by Nuwa in the end? Or resist now and be killed by Nuwa's heavenly lightning? Su Daji knew that even if she resisted now, it would be meaningless to Nuwa. If one vixen died, he could just replace her with another. Just now, I saw fate and the future because of this pearl hairpin? Su Daji suddenly remembered that when she saw the future, the pearl hairpin seemed to have flashed with light. What is this? Su Daji reached out and took off the pearl hairpin on her hair bun. She held it in her hand and looked at it carefully. It was an extremely exquisite pearl hairpin. However, Su Daji could not feel anything strange about the pearl hairpin. Do you want to understand the meaning of life? Do you want to truly live? Do you want to control your own fate? Do you want to break away from the control of others and live freely? Suddenly, a voice sounded in Su Daji's mind. A strange light screen appeared in Su Daji's mind. It was a square screen with a black border. In the middle was a sky blue screen. A dialog box popped up on it. A sentence appeared in the dialog box. Do you want to understand the meaning of life? Below this sentence there were two things that seemed to be buttons. On the two buttons there were a few crooked and curved characters. Yes. No. Su Daji thought, what kind of words are these? I can't understand. I'm a demon, I can't read. Chapter 1346. You don't know how to read. Big Boss Li's face was full of depression, and he blurted out, "Wheat bastard. Uncultured, how scary." However, it would be strange if a fox spirit from the primeval world like you could recognize the barbarian language of the future, right? Big Boss Li muttered a few words in his heart. The details determine success or failure. Then, he immediately provided the online translation function. Yes? No? Su Daiji saw the two strange characters suddenly twist and turn into the words yes and no. Only then did she understand. It's clearly yes and no. Why did it turn into those strange words? I was so scared that I broke out in a cold sweat. I thought that the words in the current human world had changed again. After letting out a long breath, Su Daiji threw away the problem of the words and focused on the thing itself. What exactly is this thing? Do you want to understand the meaning of life? Do you want to truly live? I'm a little monster who is controlled by others and can't even control my own life and death. Do I really have a chance to live? Control my own fate? Break away from the control of others? Can I do it? Sudaiji frowned and thought to herself. Everything is possible. Another voice sounded in her mind. Everything is possible? Yes. Everything is possible. Fate is so cruel. If I don't fight for it and resist it, how can I be willing to accept my fate? Taking a deep breath, Sudaiji's face was no longer beautiful, and her eyes were no longer seductive. There was only coldness and determination. No matter who you are, no matter what you want to do. I've agreed. I want to live. Even if I'm lowly, I want to live proudly. Sudaiji clenched her fists tightly. As you wish. Her mind shook violently and the sky was filled with light. In Sudaiji's mind, a shop suddenly appeared. Hello, sir. Welcome to the Myriad World Mall. A shadow appeared at the entrance of the shop. It was a young man with short hair wearing a short-sleeved shirt. I'm the strongest shop owner in history. The young man opened his arms, and his body was shining with a holy light. Our shop has everything you need. There's nothing you can't buy, only things you can't imagine. Sir, what would you like to order? Sudaiji suddenly had the urge to cover her face and escape. She turned around and left. Everything that one could wish for? There's nothing that can't be bought? Wasn't this too ridiculous? What's more, this strongest shopkeeper doesn't seem reliable at all. Everything? If I want to become a saint, can you buy a saint birth here? Sudaiji pursed her lips and retorted at the strongest shop owner. Become a saint? Of course. The strongest shopkeeper waved his hand, and a screen appeared in front of Sudaiji. Look, there were all kinds of saint ascension packages here. One click to install, a fool to operate. With just a light tap, the holy birth would be in his hands. You deserve it. Little White's big gift pack. How did a saint become one? The guidance of a famous teacher and the teaching materials for becoming a saint. What the hell was this? Sudaiji was dumbfounded. After searching through the light screen for a while, Sudaiji found a seemingly reliable Saint's Great Tao Express. Professional teaching materials, a necessity for becoming a saint. You need a set of primordial violet vapor to buy them? Or 10 billion exchange points. Sudaiji almost cursed. If I had primordial violet vapor, why would I come here to buy teaching materials? And what the hell was exchange points? Dear customer, you don't have money. Oh, you don't have any exchange points, right? The strongest shopkeeper chuckled. All right, this is my first time doing business in this primeval world of yours. You're also the only person in this world who can contact me. Then, I'll give you a gift. The strongest shopkeeper waved his hand, and a bit of light flew out of his hand and entered between Sudaiji's eyebrows. Dear customer, our shop collects all kinds of materials. You can buy anything and sell anything. Please come again. With a flash of light, Sudaiji instantly left this inexplicable Myriad World Mall. What the hell is this? Sudaiji rubbed between her eyebrows and only felt a headache. Boom. Suddenly, there was another boom in Sudaiji's mind. The violent shock almost made Sudaiji's soul leave her body. What's going on? Demonic sky-devouring technique? A mysterious and unfathomable secret technique suddenly appeared in Sudaiji's mind. A little fox? She actually obtained my inheritance? Could it be the work of a celestial venerable? Fine, since you have such an opportunity, I'll let you learn this technique of mine. The figure of a woman in white suddenly appeared in Sudaiji's mind. It was a woman who was aloof and peerless. Just a phantom image seemed to have crushed the eternal space and time, as if it had shattered the heavens and earth. She was the only one in the world. One Tao suppressed all Taos. All things in the world, all living beings in the world, it was as if everything had to bow down and submit to this woman in white. Who is this expert? Seeing this woman in white, Sudaiji suddenly trembled from her soul. The demonic sky-devouring technique is the first emperor scripture that I created. Watch carefully. The woman in white put her hands together, and 365 stars appeared all over her body. They were bright and holy. However, within the dazzling radiance of these 365 stars, there was actually a boundless black vortex, devouring the world, devouring everything, devouring everything. Under the devouring of the 365 light spots around her, spiritual energy, vitality, artifacts, and even the wind, clouds, thunder, and lightning were all swept away. The demonic sky-devouring technique. As expected of the demonic sky-devouring technique. Seeing this scene, Su Daji was so excited that her whole body trembled. So, that myriad world maul was actually so powerful? The gift that was casually given out was actually such a heaven-defying and invincible secret technique? That's great. That's great. This is my lucky chance. This is my opportunity to reverse fate. Su Daji clenched her fists tightly, and her heart was burning. With this myriad world maul in hand, so what if it was Nuwa? As long as she had enough redemption points, there were many sanctification set meals in the mall. At this moment, Su Daji suddenly felt that her fate was already in her hands. I won't be manipulated by you. I won't give in. I want to live. I want to live freely. Is this the meaning of life? Is this the true meaning of living? As expected, I already understand the meaning of life. I already know how to truly live. Nuwa, didn't you want me to bring chaos to the world? I will definitely help you bring chaos to the world. I will definitely help you bring disaster to the world. Su Daji, is already a modified version of the Dark Demon. There will be a good show to watch in this investiture of the gods' war. Li Yu picked up the wine bottle and drank it in one gulp. His face was full of smiles. Chapter 1347. Su Daji has already changed it. The effect is not bad. Li Yu looked up in the direction of Zhaoge and King Zhou, who wanted to make an appointment with Nuwa. With Su Daji's myriad world maul, it's not a problem to buy King Zhou an innate hegemonic body. But that's not enough. Yes, it was not enough. Li Yu didn't go through so much trouble for fun. The battle of the gods was to attract the energy and attention of the saints, so that Zenyuanzi could find a loophole and find the primordial violet qi and secrets of heaven and earth of Hongyun. Therefore, the battle of the gods could not only be fought by Western Zhou and Shang Zhou. The fundamental goal was to involve the saints and mighty figures of the primordial world. Shun Gongbao will complete his mission and drag all the immortals and gods into this vortex. This is the wish of the primordial beginning and the result of the game between the saints. Tong Tian was a straightforward person, but he did not expect that he would be betrayed by his brother from the beginning. The battle of the gods was the primordial beginning contacting the other saints to scheme against Tong Tian. In the current situation, the three Pure Ones and Nuwa will definitely be involved in the battle of the gods. Because of the Ling Zhuzi incident, Haotian will definitely be involved. But the Buddhist sect is still watching the show. In the original battle of the gods, the three Pure Ones were fighting among themselves, and the Western sect was watching the fire from the other side and reaping the benefits. However, this obviously did not meet Li Yu's requirements. Now, it won't be so easy for you bald thieves to continue watching the show. Li Yu looked up at the Dongxing Divine Continent and saw the stone on Huagua Mountain. I also left a backup plan for Monkey. At the critical moment, the fierce, violent, and unruly monkey will teach them a lesson. Of course, this was only a move. Li Yu had already made arrangements for other contingencies. When these bald thieves were chopped until their heads were bleeding, it would definitely be a fire in Buddha. They would enter the world to subdue demons and eliminate demons, and save all living beings. At this moment, Jiang Zia and Shin Gongbao have already left the mountain. It's time for Li Yu, the sword immortal of Green Mountain, to travel the world. Shen Gongbao's monster-luring skill must be strengthened. Li Yu needed to give this former martial uncle a good push. You want to travel down the mountain? Hearing that Li Yu planned to travel down the mountain, Zhen Yuanzi frowned slightly. After 10 years of cultivation, you have rebuilt your foundation and reached the realm of Tai. Why don't you wait until you become a golden immortal before going down the mountain? Zhen Yuanzi had high hopes for Li Yu. 10 years after entering the sect, this simple and kind young man did not disappoint Zhen Yuanzi. After rebuilding his foundation, he broke through several realms within 10 years and became a grand unity true immortal. Such talent would be considered top-notch even among the disciples of the saints. If Zhen Yuanzi wanted to obtain the primordial violet qi, he would definitely face a bloody battle. Zhen Yuanzi had quite a number of disciples under him, and many of them were at the primordial realm. There were even a few golden immortals. However, to this day, no one had been able to break through and become a quasi-saint. In Zhen Yuanzi's view, Li Yu should be the one most likely to become a quasi-saint among his disciples. One more quasi-saint would be a great help in the coming war. With such a powerful assistant, why not seize the time to cultivate seriously and break through as soon as possible, and travel instead? I don't want to either. Li Yu naturally knew what Zhen Yuanzi was thinking, and shook his head helplessly. 10 years to become a grand unity true immortal is too fast, and my foundation is unstable. I need to settle down and comprehend more. Otherwise, I won't be able to break through in a short time. Is that so? Zhen Yuanzi nodded. Breaking through too fast could lead to an unstable foundation. That was quite possible. A grand unity true immortal to become a golden immortal, or a golden immortal to become a quasi-saint, was not something that could be done overnight. It required opportunity and comprehension. Building a cart behind closed doors was definitely not going to work. He really needed to be let down the mountain, travel the world, and comprehend the principles of heaven and earth. Only then could he have the opportunity to break through. That's fine too. Zhen Yuanzi nodded in agreement, and then took out a jade slip, entered a message, and handed it to Li Yu. Since you're going to travel the mountain, send me a letter on the way. Send a letter? Li Yu reached out to take the jade slip, somewhat confused. Didn't cultivators usually use a talisman to send messages? Was there such a thing as sending a letter? This is a serious matter. The message may be leaked through the talisman, so you have to go in person. Zhen Yuanzi's face was solemn. Send this letter to Kong Xian, the general of the 3 mountains pass of the Central Plains. Remember, this letter cannot be taken out halfway, and cannot be given to anyone else. Only you can hand it to Kong Xian personally. Yes. Li Yu nodded in agreement and put the jade slip into his sleeve. Naturally, Li Yu would not let go of Zhen Yuanzi's world in the sleeve. These few years, Li Yu's universe in the sleeve technique had long been trained to the point of perfection. Go. Zhen Yuanzi waved his hand and sent Li Yu away. Li Yu cupped his hands and took his leave. Riding on the auspicious cloud, he rose up and flew towards the direction of the Southern Viewing Department State. Zhen Yuanzi found Kong Xian? Looking at the jade slip in his sleeve, Li Yu chuckled. Kong Xian fell into Ai's hands long ago, and became Ai's pawn. Is Zhen Yuanzi also trying to win Kong Xian over? Zhen Yuanzi needed help. Even if the 8 saints were busy fighting in the God-sealing formation, and could not get out. However, Mingyi, Kuanpeng, Haotian, and even Daipamkara, and the Holy Emperor of the human race, might help. Although the Holy Emperor of the human race was 1 level weaker, the human sacred weapon carried the power of fate of the human race, and its power was no less than that of a sage-to-be. Under such circumstances, it was normal for Zhen Yuanzi to ask for help. I wonder if Zhen Yuanzi knows that Kong Xian has become a sage-to-be thanks to my opportunity? Of course, that was not important. The alliance of Zenyuanzi and Kong Xian was also in Li Yu's interest, and Li Yu had even wanted to facilitate this. Zenyuanzi and Kong Xian must also be thinking about the God-sealing war. They want to burn the fire of the God-sealing war even more. Li Yu suddenly wanted to laugh. The saints were promoting the God-sealing war, Zenyuanzi, and even other sage-to-be were also promoting the God-sealing war, and Li Yu was also promoting the God-sealing war. It seemed that this war was in everyone's interest. In terms of the general trend, Yuanshi, Nuwa, and even Taishang can be considered on one side. On the other hand, Skirich's forces were weak. Haotian is very dissatisfied with Nuwa and Yuanshi because of the Ling Zhuzi incident, and may join Tongtian's lineup. However, Haotian's subordinates were only some old subordinates of the Jade Pool of West Kunlun, and there were not many powerful figures. Unless Haotian and Jade Pool personally participated, it would not be of much help to Tongtian. Yuanshi's lineup is too strong. I have to strengthen Tongtian's side. Li Yu looked up at the North Sea. Demon Master Kuanping, this is a good target. The ancient demon Heavenly Court was destroyed, and there are still some demon saints scattered everywhere. Kuanping is a good force to rope in these demon saints. Therefore, Li Yu planned to trick Kuanping again. Chapter 1348. I'm Li Yu. Please meet perfected Kong Xian. Not long after, Li Yu arrived at the Three Mountain Pass. He stepped on the cloud platform and arrived outside the Three Mountain Pass military headquarters. He sent a voice transmission to the headquarters. Li Yu? Who's your master? Kong Xian was already a sage-to-be. Naturally, he could sense the arrival of a cultivator outside the residence. Li Yu was an unfamiliar name. However, a grand unity true immortal cultivator was considered an expert. The door opened and Kong Xian's voice sounded. Come in. Thank you, perfected one. Li Yu stepped into the mansion, walked into the main hall, and came before Kong Xian. Greetings, perfected Kong Xian. My master has a letter. Please take a look at it, Reverend Kong Xian. Li Yu took out the jade slip that Zenyuanzi had given him and handed it to Kong Xian. Letter? Kong Xian frowned. He reached out and grabbed the jade slip. He scanned it with his divine will and saw the message on it. Hongyun's relic? Primordial violet vapor? Zenyuanzi wants to work with me? Seeing the information in the jade slip, Kong Xian's entire body trembled, and his heart was filled with horror. Zenyuanzi actually mentioned something like the primordial violet vapor so openly? Yes, there were too many people who wanted the primordial violet vapor. Zenyuanzi was alone and had no helpers. There was no way he could get Hongyun's relic. After getting the primordial violet vapor, the two of them would compete to determine who would get it? Haha, very good. My 5 elements Great Tao has reached phenomenal success. I'm quite confident in getting the primordial violet vapor. Thinking of this, Kong Xian nodded. I've received the letter. Tell your master that I'm willing to work with him. Thank you, perfected one. I'll take my leave now. Li Yu cupped his hands in salute, turned around, and left the military headquarters. Then, Kong Xian, it's time for you to awaken. After leaving the military headquarters, Li Yu stepped on a cloud and rushed to Chaoga while giving Kong Xian a chance to comprehend fate. The military headquarters of the Three Mountain Pass. Kong Xian received Zenyuanzi's letter and felt a sense of urgency about the future. In order to successfully obtain the primordial violet qi, he still needed to continue increasing his strength. Taking out the 5 elements divine stone he had obtained from the whetstone, Kong Xian continued to comprehend the great Tao of the 5 elements and the principles behind the creation and destruction of matter. Buzz, the 5 elements divine stone in his hand suddenly trembled, and a 5-colored light shone. Then, Kong Xian saw the future. Mahamayuri? 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 In the future, Kong Xian was involved in the Great God Conferment War and defeated the heroes. In the end, he was suppressed by Zhuan Ti and became the guardian wisdom king of the Western sect. This made the anger in Kong Xian's heart rise higher and higher. I am the son of the phoenix, the first peacock between heaven and earth, free and unfettered under the heavens. But in the end, he was schemed against and fell into the hands of those bandits, becoming their hired thug? How preposterous! Seeing the future wasn't a strange thing. Kong Xian, who was in the realm of sage-to-be, had also seen some fragments of the future on a whim. However, he had never seen the future so clearly and thoroughly like this. The 5 elements divine stone is indeed my opportunity. Not only did it allow me to become a sage-to-be, but it also allowed me to see the future so clearly. Kong Xian's face was cold and his eyes were cold. Since I have seen the future, how can my future be enslaved by others? The Great God Conferment War? Mahamayuri? Let's see who's more ruthless. Thus, the hired thug Li Yu had already awakened. It's still easier to fool this kind of itinerant cultivator. If it's a disciple of a sage, it won't be easy to manipulate. In fact, what Li Yu wanted to do most was to let the dead disciples of the Jie sect see their future and let them awaken, so that they could defy the heavens and change their fate. Unfortunately, it's not easy to manipulate a disciple of a sage. Even if I let them see the future. As a sage, even I can't see the future and see through fate in this chaotic time. How did you see it? If you can see it, then it must be done by someone else. In this way, even Li Yu's own existence might be exposed. So, if I want to muddy the waters and make the apotheosis war fiercer and more tragic, I have to think about itinerant cultivators. Nether River Patriarch, Demon Master Kuanping, these people were the best chess pieces. At this time, Shin Gongbao should also go down the mountain, right? If I want to trick Kuanping, I can't do without Shin Gongbao, who has a lot of friends. Riding a cloud, Li Yu rushed toward the direction of Chaoga, the capital of the Shang dynasty. At this time, Jiang Zia went down the mountain. Shin Gongbao was deeply shocked and followed all the way down the mountain. Li Yu had been with Shin Gongbao for a while, so how could he not do something? A system positioning mark made Shin Gongbao unable to hide. After flying for a few days, Li Yu saw a figure flying on the cloud in front of him. It was Shin Gongbao. Why? Jiang Zia's talent is extremely poor. He can't enter the immortal realm after cultivating for dozens of years. And I am already a Tai genuine immortal. Why did Master give him the list of deification, the holy whip, and the central Wutu apricot yellow flag? Why him? Why not me? Shin Gongbao was angry and depressed. He only felt that he was full of bitterness and had no one to complain to. Fellow cultivator, wait. While flying, Shin Gongbao suddenly heard a call behind him. Hearing this very familiar sentence, Shin Gongbao was stunned. This sentence seems to be wrong? Isn't this my catchphrase? Stopping the flying light, Shin Gongbao looked back and saw a cultivator flying toward him on a cloud, surrounded by green gas. Fellow cultivator. It's you? Li Yu? Martial nephew Li Yu? Shin Gongbao saw the cultivator flying toward him on the cloud. It turned out to be Li Yu from the Green Mountain sect, the descendant of Chang Qingzi. This shocked Shin Gongbao. How many years has it been? He is already a Tai genuine immortal? Feeling the green light around Li Yu and the otherworldly Tai genuine immortal qi, Shin Gongbao opened his mouth wide, and could not close it for a long time. It really is martial Uncle Shin. Li Yu caught up with him with a smile on his face. I looked at you from afar and thought you looked like martial Uncle Shin, so I called you. I didn't expect martial Uncle Shin to come. You kid, you have reached the Tai realm. The shock in Shin Gongbao's heart did not diminish at all. With this kind of aptitude, Even the disciples of the sages with extraordinary backgrounds could only reach this level, right? Even in the Chan sect, only Yang Jian of the younger generation could compare with this guy. During my travels, I obtained an opportunity and was accepted by the ancestor of the Earth Immortals, Immortal Zhen Yuan. That's how I reached the Tai realm, Li Yu explained with a smile. Then, he deliberately mentioned Shen Gongbao's sad story. Martial uncle, I saw that you seem to be in a bad mood? I wonder if I can share your worries? Sigh, Shen Gongbao heaved a long sigh and his face was gloomy. It's okay, it's okay. He was not valued by the heavenly lord of primordial beginning, who could share his worries. Martial uncle, why don't we call some friends to drink together and relieve your depression? This place is not far from Yongzhou. Let's go find the Golden Flood Dragon King for a drink. What do you think? This was Li Yu's motive. The Golden Flood Dragon King was the son of the great sage of the ocean cover. Li Yu wanted to trick the Koan Peng. The great sage of the ocean cover of the ancient demon heavenly court was the best bait. Chapter 1349. Golden Flood Dragon King? Drink? Sure. Shen Gongbao had a belly full of bitterness and needed to drink to relieve his boredom. He was very interested in Li Yu's suggestion. Let's go find the Golden Flood Dragon King for a drink. Shen Gongbao and Li Yu turned and rushed to Yongzhou's Jade Spring Lake. Not long after, the two arrived at the vast Jade Spring Lake. Ever since he found the soul-dispersing gourd fragment at the Jade Spring Lake, Li Yu had used this fragment to scam the world. Therefore, I am still very grateful for the Golden Flood Dragon King's outstanding contribution. This time, I will let you make an even greater contribution. Li Yu looked at the island in the middle of the lake with a smile on his face. Brother Golden Flood Dragon, Shen Gongbao is here to visit. Standing by the lake, Shen Gongbao yelled at the top of his lungs in the direction of the island in the middle of the lake. Brother Leopard is here? Quickly invite him in. A hearty laugh came from the island. The Golden Flood Dragon King rose on a cloud and welcomed him with a hearty laugh. Brother Leopard, come come come. I happen to have a few jars of good wine. Let's not leave until we are drunk today. Ha ha. I was just about to find you for a drink. Shen Gongbao's sullenness seemed to have dissipated. He laughed loudly and followed the Golden Flood Dragon King to the island. After Li Yu paid his respects, he followed suit. A moment later, the three of them arrived at the island in the middle of the lake, where the Treasure Appreciation Conference had once been. The main hall was empty. It seemed like the Golden Flood Dragon King had no guests. There were only 2 snake demon guards at the entrance of the main hall. These 2 guards are just nice to use. When they walked through the door, Li Yu flicked his finger slightly. 2 imperceptible light spots silently entered the bodies of the 2 snake demon guard. Come, serve the wine. The Golden Flood Dragon King was very hospitable. After sitting down in the main hall, he quickly ordered the maids to serve the wine and dishes. Today, Brother Leopard and Li have arrived. This king is overjoyed. Drink to your heart's content. Drink to your heart's content. The Golden Flood Dragon King raised his wine cup and drank it in one gulp. Unfortunately, I am not here to drink with you. Li Yu picked up the cup and pretended to drink it in one gulp. Just as he was about to finish the cup, Li Yu seemed to have noticed something. He turned his head abruptly to look at the entrance of the hall. Martial nephew, what's wrong? Seeing Li Yu's action, Shen Gongbao was also shocked and hurriedly asked, Mr. Li, is there a problem? The Golden Wyrm King was also confused. He didn't know what was going on with Li Yu. Strange. Li Yu frowned as he looked at the entrance of the Grand Hall. Then, he turned to look at the Golden Wyrm King. Just now, I seem to have sensed an extremely powerful aura. It seems to be a golden immortal. Golden Wyrm King, is there a golden immortal in your Jade Spring Lake? How is that possible? My father is only a golden immortal. How can my tiny jade spring lake have? Before the golden WYRM king could finish speaking, a sudden change occurred. Damn it! This brat actually foiled our great plan. So what if they found out? With their strength, do you think they can stop us? Let's just kill them. Two monstrous murderous auras suddenly exploded at the entrance of the grand hall. The two snake demons guarding the entrance suddenly exploded with boundless divine might. Their mighty auras soared into the sky and shook the clouds. Boom! The two snake demons roared and charged, their boundless power directly shattering the golden WRM King's Grand Hall. What's going on? The golden WYRM King was completely dumbfounded. What's going on? My two guards, when did they become so terrifying? Run! When the two monstrous auras soared into the sky, Shen Gongbao was very quick-witted. He quickly rushed out, grabbed the golden WYRM King, and turned to run. Martial uncle, run. Your disciple will risk his life to block them. Li Yu let out a wild roar. Disregarding his own life, he resolutely swung his sword without hesitation. A tall and straight pine tree rose from the ground, towering majestically. The sky was filled with sparkling clear splendor. The pine needles were like rain, densely packed together as they swept towards the two snake demons that had charged into the main hall. Martial nephew, run, run. Don't throw your life away. Shen Gongbao was moved to tears when he saw Li Yu risking his life to block the enemy. Brother Shen, run. We can't let Li's sacrifice be in vain. The golden WRM King roared, grabbed Shen Gongbao, and turned to run. What the hell is going on, golden WRM King? You bastard, who the hell did you offend? Shen Gongbao's eyes were bloodshot as he roared at the golden WRM King as he ran. An ambush by two golden immortals was not something an ordinary faction could afford. Apart from the disciples of the saints, only a few demi-saints could send out golden immortals. It was obvious that the golden WRM King had offended a demi-saint. As for the saints, even if the golden WRM King wanted to, he didn't have the right to do so. I don't know what's going on either. The golden WRM King wanted to cry. Damn it! They've caught up. My martial nephew, a grand immortal, only managed to block them for a moment? Where did these two golden immortals come from? Shen Gongbao was shocked to see that the two snake demons had caught up to them again after only a moment's delay. This made Shen Gongbao believe that the golden WRM King was the culprit. Shen Gongbao had never offended someone like that, and Li Yu was even less likely. Moreover, the two golden immortal snake demons were chasing after them. If it wasn't Shen Gongbao himself, then it could only be the golden WRM King. Damn it! What the hell is going on? The golden WRM King wanted to cry. From the looks of it, the two golden immortals were coming for him. This made him even more confused. Stop dilly-dallying. If we don't think of a way to escape, only death awaits us. Although Shen Gongbao was a disciple of the sage, it would be meaningless even if he died and his sect avenged him after being involved in such a disaster. To my father's place. The abode of my father, the great sage of the ocean cover, is in the outer seas of Yongzhou. The golden WYRM King immediately thought of a place to escape. He hurriedly gathered all his spiritual energy and brought Shen Gongbao to the abode of the great sage of the ocean cover. Because Li Yu had held them back for a while, they were able to escape for some distance. The two fled pathetically, and just as the snake demons were about to catch up, they rushed to the outer seas of Yongzhou. Father, save me! The golden WRM King screamed for help at the top of his lungs. Who dares hurt my child? Huge waves surged into the sky as a dignified figure wearing a flat crown and emperor robes broke through the waves and soared into the sky. Two golden immortals? No, not golden immortals, but a golden immortal's incarnation? Which fellow Taoist is joking with me? The great sage of the ocean cover frowned as he looked at the two snake demons who were chasing after them. Golden immortals were already peak existences in the primeval world. As the great sage of the ocean cover, there was no golden immortal in the primeval world who didn't recognize him. However, he didn't sense any familiar aura from the two snake demons. Rumble! The two snake demons didn't answer. Instead, they unleashed a torrential aura and charged at the great sage of the ocean cover. Since you want to fight, don't blame me for not holding back. The great sage of the ocean cover was a veteran golden immortal. If two golden immortals attacked him in their true forms, he wouldn't be able to defend himself. However, having two avatars was not a big deal. Even so, when the great sage of the ocean cover took action to meet the enemy, he found that one of the snake demons was entangling him while the other snake demon dived into the sea and rushed toward his underwater cave residence. Damn it, are they after that thing? The great sage of the ocean cover's expression changed drastically. Chapter 1350. Bastard! How did that thing get exposed? The great sage of the ocean cover was both shocked and anxious. He left the Golden Jiao King and Shen Gongbao behind, not even in the mood to deal with the snake demon that was charging at him. He turned and dove into the water, chasing after the other snake demon. You want to go back? You're not going anywhere. The snake demon that was charging at the great sage of the ocean cover sneered, releasing an extremely cold aura. Boom! The snake demon suddenly exploded, burning its entire body and all of its power, releasing a cold aura that seemed to freeze the world. Crack crack, cold light burst out, sweeping across the sea. In the blink of an eye, the sea within a radius of 1,000 miles was frozen solid. The great sage of the ocean cover, who was charging at the bottom of the water, was suddenly frozen in solid ice. Northern Underworld Frost Chi. After being frozen by this cold chi, the great sage of the ocean cover immediately identified the origin of this cold chi. Who was the best at frost arts in the Eldritch world? Only the demon master Kuanping, who occupied the northern underworld ocean. Could these two golden immortals be disciples of the demon master palace of the northern underworld? Frost Toad? Or Frost Toad? Yes, the demon master Kuanping was also a member of the ancient celestial court. Even Emperor Jun's inscription of the Luo fell into his hands. It was not impossible that he knew the whereabouts of that thing. You want the Dongwang bell? You're really greedy, Styx. The great sage of the ocean cover roared, and a mighty radiance suddenly burst out, turning into a 10,000-foot-long golden Jiao dragon. Boom! The huge golden Jiao dragon suddenly twisted, and the frozen ice shattered and scattered in all directions. Roar! With an earth-shattering roar, the huge golden Jiao dragon swung its dragon tail. It did not stop, and did not even check if the golden Jiao King was frozen by the frost chi. It turned and left without hesitation, rushing to the bottom of the sea. He had to stop the other snake demon, and not let it discover the Dongwang bell, let alone activate it. Otherwise, everything would be over. The Dongwang bell was also known as the Bell of Chaos. It was the ultimate treasure of the Dongwang Tai, a connate spirit treasure and a chaos divine artifact. Even a saint would be interested in such a treasure. After all, the Dongwang bell was on the same level as the Panga banner and the Taiji diagram. Although the Dongwang bell in the great sage's hands was incomplete, no one would complain about having too many of such treasures. He must not be exposed. The Kuanping must be suspicious and testing me. He wasn't sure that I had the East Emperor's treasure. He was just testing me. As long as I can stop that snake demon and prevent them from discovering the whereabouts of the Dongwang bell, he can't do anything to me. However, when the great sage of the ocean cover rushed to the bottom of the sea with all his might, he was shocked to find that the snake demon that had rushed to the underwater cave abode had suddenly self-detonated. Boom! An earth-shattering boom rang out as a boundless power erupted and swept out in all directions. A violent and boundless power surged up, shaking the heavens and the earth. In an instant, a large part of the sea evaporated. The underwater cave of the great sage ocean cover, as well as the countless aquatic creatures in the cave, were all turned into powder in this self-explosion. Of course, the great sage of the ocean cover didn't care about the cave and the aquatic creatures in it at all. However, the impact of this explosion had already collided with an ancient and mottled bronze palace. No, as the great sage of the ocean cover howled miserably, the impact of the snake demon's self-detonation collided with the ancient bronze palace. Dong, the sound of a bell rang through the clouds. The moment the snake demon's self-detonation collided with the ancient bronze palace, the huge ancient bronze palace suddenly burst into a brilliant light and turned into a bronze bell. The bell rang, reverberating through the 9 heavens and shaking the heavens and the earth. At this moment it was as if time and space had stopped, as if everything in the world had been imprisoned, as if everything had come to a standstill. The Dongwang Bell had the power to reverse time and space, the power to develop the mysteries of the heavenly Tao, and the ability to refine earth, water, fire, and wind. A connate treasure, a supreme treasure used to suppress primordial chaos when Pangu split the heavens and earth apart. The sky was filled with strange phenomena. There was the supreme scene of the creation of the heavens and earth, the brilliance of the sun, moon, and stars, the swirling of earth, water, fire, and wind, the evolution of mountains and rivers, and the appearance of all living beings. The 5-colored light illuminated the heavens. The bell of chaos intimidated the universe. Endless mysteries, suppressed time and space, suppressed primordial chaos. The bell rang mightily. The heavens and earth trembled, and the universe lost its color. In just an instant, the bell fell silent, and everything returned to normal. Even so, the great sage of the ocean cover knew that he could no longer return to normal. It's over. The great sage of the ocean cover's face turned pale, and his entire body trembled. The bell of chaos, a supreme treasure that split the heavens, a sacred relic of Pangu. How could a mere golden immortal like him own such an item? The supreme treasures of heaven and earth belong to the virtuous. Aside from the saints, who else could be virtuous? Even if you were virtuous, you would have to be immoral. That's, in the northern underworld ocean, the Koan Pung was startled and rushed out of the northern underworld ice sea, looking toward the South Sea with a face full of shock. The Dongwang Bell, without any hesitation, the Koan Pung revealed its true form and transformed into a boundless Koan Pung true body, spreading its wings and soaring for billions of miles as it tore through the air and rushed toward the South Sea. The Dongwang Bell? The blood sea churned as the Nether River Patriarch broke through the air and rushed toward the South Sea as well. The Dongwang Bell? That's mine. That's mine. Flames filled the sky as a 3-legged golden crow raised its head and roared, breaking through the air and rushing toward the South Sea as well. The Dongwang Bell? It's appearing now? It's just a bell. The hanging hammer has yet to appear. The heavenly secrets are in chaos, and the Dongwang Bell has appeared ahead of time. Is that Yu Huang de Tianzuan's doing? The saints glanced toward the South Sea and smiled, but did not make a move. Could that Yu Huang de Tianzuan be trying to prove his Tao with the Bell of Chaos? Trying to prove his Tao with strength? He's got some guts. Unfortunately, the Bell of Chaos was incomplete, and so was Pangu's understanding of opening the skies. The path of proving one's Tao with strength did not work, and no one had succeeded. Since that great heavenly venerate Yu Huang has made a move, with his saint of the outer Tao level, unless we saints personally take action, no one else will be able to take advantage of him. Forget it. Let him be. He won't be able to cause any trouble anyway. The saints wanted to solve the problem of the great God-conferment war and did not want to cause any trouble. They did not want to fight over half of the Bell of Chaos. More importantly, the saints were very willing to let the Bell of Chaos fall into Li Yu's hands. That was because, the moment the Bell of Chaos appeared, it was exposed to the saints. It could no longer be hidden. Li Yu could no longer escape the saints' surveillance with the exposed Bell of Chaos. But who told you that I need the Bell of Chaos? Although it was a heaven-opening treasure and an artifact formed by chaos, it was even more powerful than the Chaos silver armor and Chaos spear that Li Yu had seen in another Pearl of Destruction. However, Li Yu did not need that. His Yu Huang Bell was not inferior to the Bell of Chaos. Advancing to the second step of Chaos was the key. Li Yu naturally would not mess up his plan for the Bell of Chaos. After I advance to the second step of Chaos, I will rob all of you. Chapter 1351. The Appearance of the Dongwang Bell? At this time? In the fifth manner, Zhen Yuanzi stood up in shock. He turned his head and looked in the direction of the South Sea, frowning. The appearance of the Dongwang Bell? Who is behind this? Zhen Yuanzi was focused on the primordial violet vapor. He planned to push the war of the gods to seize the primordial violet vapor. The sudden appearance of the Dongwang Bell caught Zhen Yuanzi off guard. He felt like he was being led by the nose. The appearance of the Dongwang Bell is too strange. If I don't show up, I have to go. Although he felt like he was being tricked, Zhen Yuanzi knew that it would be too conspicuous if he didn't fight for it. Boom! A mighty green rainbow shot into the sky. The shadow of the ginseng fruit tree appeared and filled the sky with green clouds. Zhen Yuanzi took a step forward and soared into the sky, rushing toward the South Sea. In the direction of the three mountains pass, a colorful light shone and the five elements circulated. Kong Xian revealed his true form and turned into a huge peacock. He spread his wings and rushed toward the South Sea. At this moment, the South Sea was filled with huge waves. Now that the Dongwang Bell was exposed, how could the great sage of the ocean cover just sit there and wait for his death? He quickly picked up the Dongwang Bell and ran. Fuhai, so the Dongwang Bell is in your hands. Leave the Dongwang Bell and I'll spare your life. A humongous Kuan Pung that blotted out the sky flew across the universe with its wings covering the sky. The pressure it emitted was so strong that it seemed as if even the void was about to collapse. Boom! A gigantic bird claw descended from the skies and tore through the void, grabbing down at the wretched great sage of the ocean cover. What's going on? On the surface of the South Sea, the Golden Dragon King and Shen Gongbao were completely stunned. Uncle, run! At this moment, a figure appeared in the sky, grabbed Shen Gongbao, and dragged him away. Li Yu? You're not dead yet? Seeing Li Yu suddenly appear, Shen Gongbao was surprised and happy. That's great. As long as you're fine. Their target wasn't me. I tried to stop them for a while, but they pushed me back and ignored me. Li Yu said as he pulled Shen Gongbao up and fled. Yes, their target is the Dongwang Bell. At this moment, everyone could see that the snake demon's attack was for the Dongwang Bell. I shouldn't have fled to the South Sea. I've harmed Father. The Golden Flood Dragon King blamed himself and followed behind Shen Gongbao. With the appearance of the Dongwang Bell, this place would definitely become a battlefield. If they didn't run away quickly, the shock waves from the battle would shatter them. Kuanping, you will die a horrible death. At this moment, a shrill roar sounded from the distant South Sea. A humongous Kuanping grabbed a golden flood dragon with its claws and tore it into two with a great force. Opening its huge mouth, the Kuanping swallowed the two halves of the golden flood dragon. Ah! Royal Father, when the golden WRM King saw this, his eyes turned red as he roared in grief and indignation. The great sage of the ocean cover was only in the golden immortal realm. Compared to the Kuanping who was in the quasi-saint realm, he was far inferior. Moreover, although the Dongwang Bell was in the hands of the great sage of the ocean cover, he couldn't control it at all. Against the Kuan-Pung, it only took an instant for him to die. Even his body was swallowed by the Kuan-Pung. Dongwang Bell. After killing the great sage of the ocean cover, the Kuan-Pung quickly grabbed the Dongwang Bell left behind by the great sage of the ocean cover. Kuan-Pung, the Dongwang Bell belongs to my uncle. This is mine. You traitor! How dare you snatch something that belongs to me? Golden flames filled the sky as a golden three-legged golden crow rushed to the South Sea like a falling sun. Treasure, please turn around. The golden crow roared, and a black gourd rushed out from the golden flames. The black gourd hung above the golden crow's head, and a cold aura filled the sky. Boom! A silver-white light shot up from the mouth of the gourd into the sky, like a white rainbow crossing the universe. Immortal slaying flying saber. Seeing this, the Kuan-Pung didn't have time to retrieve the Dongwang Bell. He quickly released the He-Tu and Luo Shu to form a light screen above his head. Clang! The immortal slaying flying knife fell on the Kuan-Pung's head, but was blocked by the He-Tu and Luo Shu. It couldn't stop the Kuan-Pung's primordial spirit at all. The knife couldn't cut it down. Traitor! Seeing the Kuan-Pung block the immortal slaying flying knife with the He-Tu and Luo Shu, Luya was so angry that his eyes almost popped out. This is my father's treasure. You traitor! You stole my father's He-Tu and Luo Shu, and now you want to steal my uncle's Dongwang Bell. You deserve to die. 10th Prince, your cultivation isn't enough to protect the late Emperor's treasure. I'll take care of these things for you. The Kuan-Pung sneered, turned his wings, and flapped them at Luya. Luya was only a golden immortal. Although the immortal slaying flying knife was ferocious, it couldn't cut the Kuan-Pung, who had the He-Tu and Luo Shu protecting him. The Kuan-Pung's wings pushed Luya back, and the Kuan-Pung reached out with a claw that exploded with light, and grabbed at the Dongwang Bell. Clang! A sword whistle soared into the sky. 2 pitch-black sword lights shot out. They were ruthless, vicious, and monstrous. Yuan-Tu, Abi Mingi, you're courting death. Just as he was about to take the Dongwang Bell, the Yuan-Tu and Abi swords arrived. The Kuan-Pung was furious, but there was nothing he could do. He could only retract his claws and block Mingi's attack. Caw! With a crow's cry, Luya took the opportunity while the two were fighting to turn into a line of fire and charged at the Dongwang Bell. You're courting death. Mingi and the Kuan-Pung were about to fight when they suddenly saw Luya trying to take advantage of the situation. They were furious. Boom! A cold air and a blood light hit Luya at almost the same time. Grand Sun Primordial Flame. Luya roared, and golden flames burst out from his body, blocking the combined attack of the Kuan-Pung and Mingi. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. Golden flames, cold air, and blood light exploded violently. Luya's cultivation was weaker, and he was sent hundreds of miles away by the violent impact. Mingi, Kuan-Pung, die. A ginseng fruit tree that reached the sky came crashing down on Mingi and the Kuan-Pung. Zenyuanzi. Mingi and the Kuan-Pung had once tried to kill Hongyun, and they had a deep grudge against Zenyuanzi. Seeing Zenyuanzi's attack, the two no longer cared about fighting for the Dongwang Bell. The ink-black Yuan-Tu and Abi swords slashed at the ginseng fruit tree. He-Tu, Luo Shu. A tortoise shell and a jade book rushed out from the top of the Kuan-Pung's head and smashed at the direction where Zenyuanzi was coming from. Earth book suppression. The dense power of the earth exploded, and yellow light swept across the sky as if the entire earth was pressing down. Since the three of you are so humble, I, Kong Xian, will gladly accept the Dongwang Bell. Black, white, red, yellow, and green. 5 rays of light shot into the sky. In just a flash, the Dongwang Bell fell and was taken by Kong Xian. Ha 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 ha! The Dongwang Bell is mine. Kong Xian laughed heartily, turned around, and fled. Chapter 1352. Kong Xian, you're courting death. The three demi-saints flew into a rage when they saw Kong Xian knock down the Dongwang bell. How dare a mere golden immortal like Kong Xian try to take advantage of the three demi-saints? You're courting death. Mingyi, Kuan-ping, and Zhen Yuanzi stopped fighting as if they had a tacit understanding. They attacked Kong Xian together. Boom! The pitch-black Yuan-tu and Avici swords, the brilliant He-tu and Luo-shu, and the ginseng fruit tree all came at Kong Xian. Even Zhen Yuanzi, who wanted to team up with Kong Xian, wouldn't reveal that they were working together and attacked Kong Xian as well. Please turn around, baby. The immortal slaying flying saber shot out a white beam and slashed at Kong Xian's head. Lu Yao, who'd been knocked away by Mingyi and Kuan-ping, also charged at Kong Xian angrily. Naturally, Lu Yao wouldn't let the Dongwang bell fall into Kong Xian's hands and attacked without hesitation. Grand Five Elements Magnetism Annihilation Light. Naturally, Kong Xian had already anticipated their attack. Kong Xian was no longer the Kong Xian of the past. He'd become a demi-saint, and his own connate five-colored godly light had merged with Li Yu's Grand Five Elements Magnetism Annihilation Light, becoming even more terrifying. Black, white, red, yellow, and green, 5 beams of light shot into the sky and intertwined, forming a 5-colored light that rippled out like a light wave. Annihilation. Destruction. Annihilation. Under this 5-colored light, the breeze was annihilated, the clouds were annihilated, and the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was annihilated. All matter and energy were annihilated. Boom! The immortal slaying flying saber's white beam was swept by the 5-colored light and instantly exploded into nothingness. Boom! Yuan-tu and Avici's 2 beams of sword chi were also swept away and vanished. Boom! The He-tu and Luo-shu's 2 beams of godly light were also swept away by this annihilation light. Boom! The green light from the ginseng fruit tree vanished instantly. Kong Xian had repelled the joint attack of 3 demi-saints and a golden immortal with a single attack. His divine power was simply terrifying. You've become a demi-saint? Kuan-ping looked at Kong Xian in shock, his face gloomy. The other people's faces were also very ugly. Even though he was only a golden immortal, Kong Xian's connate 5-colored divine light was no less powerful than an attack from a demi-saint. Now that Kong Xian had become a quasi-saint, his innate 5-colored godly light had become even more terrifying. So what if you've become a quasi-sage? You'll still die under our joint attack. Mingyi roared, and the Yuan-tu and Avici swords soared into the sky. Exactly. Kuan-ping followed closely behind and quickly released He-tu and Luo-shu to attack Kong Xian. Leave the Dongwang bell behind, or we won't let this go. Lu Ya also attacked. In order not to expose the fact that they were working together, Zhen Yuanzi also pretended to fight. No matter how powerful Kong Xian was, it was also impossible for him to withstand the joint attack of so many people. The Great Five Elements Protomagnetic Annihilation Divine Light was an instantaneous eruption. It was not a conventional method. Although the 5-colored divine light could wipe out everything, it could not suppress other quasi-saints. Even if the brush fell, it wouldn't be able to suppress it. Kong Xian had been taken away by Kundi because the 5-colored divine light had swept Kundi in, and then Kundi had broken through the 5-colored divine light and taken him away. Damn it! Kong Xian roared and unleashed the 5 elements annihilation divine light again, blocking the joint attack of the 4. However, this was not a long-term solution. The 5 elements annihilation divine light consumed a lot of spiritual energy, and Kong Xian could not keep using it. Once his spiritual energy was depleted, only death awaited him. Even if Zhen Yuanzi went easy on him, he would not be able to withstand Mingyi and Kuan-ping's joint attack, not to mention Lu Ya's immortal-slaying flying dagger from time to time. Moreover, Kong Xian did not know if Zhen Yuanzi would really go easy on him. Whether it was a joint attack or an alliance, it was unreliable. Along the way, Kong Xian fought against 3 quasi-sages and Lu Ye alone. Gradually, he found it strenuous. "Your eyes, hired thug. How can I let you die here?" Li Yu, Shen Gongbao, and the Golden Flood Dragon King watched the show from afar. Seeing that Kong Xian was getting tired, Li Yu smiled and began to move. "Kong Xian, the 5 elements gem that I gave you has a system inside." Flicking his finger, Li Yu connected to the 5 elements gem through the system. System, scan the Dongwang Bell and use the 5 elements gem as the base to create the Dongwang Bell's hanging hammer. The Dongwang Bell was a chaos treasure, and the Dongwang Bell in Kong Xian's hand only had the body of the bell and no hanging hammer. The system was the proof of chaos in the 3rd step of the chaos. As long as it was something below the 3rd step of the chaos, there was nothing it could not create. Although the Dongwang Bell was powerful, it was at most a 1st step chaos item, similar to Li Yu's Yuhuang Bell. The system extracted Li Yu's chaos chi and used the 5 elements gem as the base to create the missing hanging hammer of the Dongwang Bell. Just when Kong Xian could not hold on any longer, the 5 elements gem in his storage space suddenly burst out with a ray of light and rushed out of the storage space. This is... Kong Xian was shocked. The 5 elements gem melted instantly and turned into a bronze wheel that rushed into the Dongwang Bell. How did the 5 elements gem become like this? Could it be? Thinking of a possibility, Kong Xian was ecstatic. Sure enough, this is my unique opportunity. It did not disappoint Kong Xian. When the 5 elements gem turned into a bronze wheel and rushed into the Dongwang Bell, the Dongwang Bell burst out with a brilliant light. Dang! The sound of the bell shook the world. Everything in the world, the sun, the moon, the stars, time, space, earth, water, fire, wind, everything in the world trembled under the sound of the bell. Kong Xian stood in the air with the Dongwang Bell hanging above his head. The divine light was vast and mighty, shaking the world. The sky was filled with strange phenomena. The phenomenon of the creation of the world, the phenomenon of the sun, the moon, the stars, wind, clouds, thunder, snow, mountains, rivers, birds, beasts, insects, and fish, all kinds of strange phenomena were circulating around the Dongwang Bell. At this moment, the entire world seemed to be cheering and worshipping. They were cheering for the birth of the Dongwang Bell. The Dongwang Bell. The complete Dongwang Bell. Kunpeng's face was pale. Seeing Kong Xian standing in the air with the Dongwang Bell above his head, it was as if he had seen the peerless paragon who dominated the world. Dongwang Tai. Kunpeng's body trembled as he screamed and turned to run. Damn it! How did he get the other half of the Dongwang Bell? Mingyi was filled with hatred, but he knew when to retreat. Without hesitation, he turned and ran. Congratulations, brother Kong Xian. Zhen Yuanzi cupped his hands and left. Uncle's Dongwang Bell has recognized you as its master? Lu Ya took a deep breath. His expression was gloomy as he cupped his hands at Kong Xian and left. The Dongwang Bell has been born? It has been born in its complete form? At this moment, the sages sitting high in the sky were dumbfounded. Chapter 1353. The hammer of the Dongwang Bell was in Kong Xian's hands? And now, the Dongwang Bell was complete? The complete Dongwang Bell was equivalent to the Pangu banner and the Taiji diagram. Even the sages would want such a divine item. However, there was only one Dongwang Bell, and no one would give it up. Unless there was another battle between the sages, no one knew who the Dongwang Bell would belong to. The investiture of the gods is near, and Kong Xian is also part of the tribulation. The primeval Lord of Heaven opened his eyes slightly and said calmly, "Excellent, excellent." The other sages nodded in agreement and reached an agreement. Since Kong Xian was also part of the investiture of the gods, then whoever killed Kong Xian would get the Dongwang Bell. Of course, there would be a fight, and everyone would have to rely on their own means. The sages won't do it themselves, so I'm worth a lot as a fighter. With the Dongwang bell in hand, Kong Xian would definitely bring pressure to many people. Moreover, Liu had already done something. The system in the 5 elements divine stone had already been integrated into the Dongwang bell. Liu used the Dongwang bell to release a killing intent to Kunpeng, and it was very easy. Sudden inspiration? Scared out of your wits? While flying, Kunpeng suddenly felt a chill in his heart, as if there was an inexplicable danger shrouding his heart. According to some saying, this was the omen of death. What's going on? Why do I suddenly feel a killing intent coming? Yes, Kong Xian has the Dongwang bell. He must be the one who's going to attack me. Damn it! Damn it! Kunpeng's face was pale, and his eyes were gloomy. Back then, Kunpeng and the Phoenix had many old grudges. Although things had changed with the passage of time, it was already a matter of the past. However, what if Kong Xian wanted to avenge his people? With the Dongwang bell in hand, no one was a match for Kong Xian except for the sages. Kunpeng still had many good things in his hands, such as the He-Tu and the Luo inscription. If Kong Xian used the Phoenix's old grudges as an excuse to attack Kunpeng and snatch the He-Tu and the Luo inscription, then there would be no way to reason. No, I have to find a backer. Otherwise, I won't be able to escape this calamity. Kunpeng paused and rolled his green eyes. He had an idea. Old Lord Wu, he won't pay attention to me. Yuanshir's standards are too high. He doesn't think highly of an alien like me, who isn't a descendant of Pangu. Nuwa is a saint of the demon clan. Unfortunately, when Eastern Emperor Tai and Emperor Jun perished, I ran away with the demon emperor's treasure. Nuwa will definitely not be happy. When the heavenly court of the ancient demon race was destroyed, the Kunpeng also played a dishonorable role. It could not escape the name of a traitor. Nuwa wouldn't do anything to the Kunpeng. However, if the Kunpeng went to her, Goddess Nviwa would ignore him. The Western sect. If I enter the sect, I can't even stick to meat and fish. I can't stand that restriction. The only way out is to reach the heavens. The Tongtian sect taught everyone regardless of background. It treated everyone equally regardless of background. Tens of thousands of immortals came to pay respects to it, and it was extremely prosperous. It was indeed a good place to go. From the signs I've discovered, the saints are having a new round of games. At this time, the Tongtian sect shouldn't reject powerful figures. The Kunpeng nodded. He already had an idea. Ji Meng, Ing Zhao, Bai Zhe, Halcyon, Shangyang, etc. These 10 great demon generals left behind by the ancient demon race's heavenly court are suitable for my advancement. A quasi-saint Kunpeng, 10 golden immortal demon generals, and the frost dragon ice toad under the Kunpeng sect could make up 12 golden immortals. Although the quality was far inferior, the number was equivalent to the 12 golden immortals under the primordial beginning sect. The Tongtian sect would definitely not reject such a gift. With a clear plan, the Kunpeng immediately moved and prepared to join forces with the 10 great demon generals to join the Tongtian sect. Liu's plan to strengthen the Tongtian sect's lineup had been successfully completed. The Kunpeng is a quasi-saint. Together with the people he invited, the Tongtian sect's lineup will be much stronger. With the pressure on primordial beginning increasing, he will definitely get more external help. The Western sect is a suitable target to rope in. Through the appearance of the Eastern Emperor Bell, Liu had already calculated everyone. In order to take back the Eastern Emperor Bell and the He-Tu and Luo Shu, Liu would definitely join the primordial beginnings lineup. The Nether River Patriarch was eyeing the primordial violet vapor, but he would not give up on the Eastern Emperor Bell. It was inevitable that he would participate in the battle. As for Haotian, as the spokesperson of Hongjun, he only had a few underlings and only one treasure. The Haotian mirror was countless times worse than the Eastern Emperor Bel. No matter from which perspective, Haotian would definitely interfere in the Apotheosis War. With the Ling Juzi incident, the third prince of the Dragon King killed Ling Juzi. However, under the pressure of the primordial beginning, Haotian had no choice but to cut off one of his arms and hand over the third prince of the Dragon King. Haotian's face was swollen. The conflict was deep and he would definitely participate in the battle. After preparing so much and scheming for so long, up until now, everything has been planned. We are just waiting for the Apotheosis War to start. Li Yu chuckled and turned to look at Shin Gongbao beside him with a panicked expression. Uncle Master, it's too dangerous outside. I plan to go home. Yes. It's too dangerous. In the Battle of 4 Demi-Saints, a veteran golden immortal like the great sage of the ocean cover had died without even showing up. This really scared Shin Gongbao. Brother Jean, my condolences. Shin Gongbao cupped his hands at the Golden Flood Dragon King. Brother Jean, you still have to take care of your funeral. I won't disturb you. Goodbye. With that, Shin Gongbao and Li Yu turned and left the South Sea. Uncle Master Shin, I'll take my leave. With the matter settled and the scam over, Li Yu did not plan to hang around with Shin Gongbao any longer. He bade farewell and floated away on a cloud. After leaving the South Sea, Li Yu returned to Yongzhou and the Green Mountain sect. I'm back. The vast and mighty green light soared into the sky. It was awe-inspiring, and its aura surged through the mountains and rivers. Li Yu laughed arrogantly as he charged forward, causing the surrounding void to rumble. The demon is back again. The disciples of the Green Mountain sect screamed in fright as they fled in panic. They were afraid that they would provoke this demon again and be dealt with badly. How dare you? You. The elders of the Green Mountain sect were about to curse when they suddenly saw the boundless aura on Li Yu. They all paled in fright. Li Yu. You? What cultivation is this? Oh, just a grand unity true immortal. Li Yu answered with a smile. Just a grand unity true immortal? The corners of the elders' mouths twitched. Grand unity true immortal? Just a grand unity true immortal? You're already a grand unity true immortal? Li Qingshan was shocked. He was both surprised and overjoyed. He was trembling all over. Young Master Yu is already a grand unity true immortal? Li Yu is already a grand unity true immortal. Heavens, why are you so unfair? Why is a scourge like Li Yu so powerful? Why can't good people like us stand out? The disciples of the Green Mountain sect were completely dumbfounded. If you don't return to your hometown when you're rich, it's like walking in the night. If you're rich, you should return home and show off. Chapter 1354. After returning to the Green Mountain sect, Li Yu settled down in his cave abode. Everything that needed to be done had been set up. All that was left was to wait for the show to begin. On this day, through Su Daji's system, Li Yu saw that the Marquis of the West, Ji Chang, had been imprisoned. His eldest son, Boikao, had come to redeem Ji Chang. That was when Li Yu knew that the war of deification had finally begun. Su Daji had seen the future, and knew that Western Zhou was going to rebel. Therefore, she killed Ji Chang and Boikao. King Zhou of Shang is tyrannical. With his father and brother dead, Gfa rebelled and led the army of Western Zhou to defeat King Zhou. Western Zhou and the Shang were separated by a large river called Mengjin. The Western Zhou army, led by King Wu, sailed across Mengjin on 10,000 boat. Then, kaboom! Waves surged and the heavenly river flowed. Huge waves rose from the upper reaches of the Mengjin River and swept toward the army of Western Zhou like a tsunami. In the blink of an eye, Western Zhou's army of 100,000 was completely annihilated by this huge wave. Many of them died or were injured. The heavens are going to kill me. When Gfa saw this, He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. What is going on? Jiang Zia was so scared that his face turned pale and his body trembled. Didn't they say that this was the will of the heavens? Didn't they say that they wanted me to become a god? Why were they wiped out as soon as they left home? How were they going to fight the next battle if they failed? Ha 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 ha. Western Zhou bastards, Her Majesty knew that you were going to rebel. She ordered us to build a dam at the upper reaches of the Mengjin River. A water attack will wipe out 100,000 of your soldiers. On the other side of the Mengjin River, the army of the Shang dynasty swarmed toward them. A general raised his spear and pointed it at the defeated soldiers of Western Zhou. He shouted, "Surrender now, or your families will be exterminated!" How did this happen? How did this happen? The rebellion had not even begun, and Su Daji was already prepared? How was this possible? Jiang Zia was dumbfounded. "Martial uncle, don't worry. I'll help you defeat the enemy." In midair, a golden light broke through the air, and a handsome young man in a water-fusion Taoist robe, straw sandals, and holding a three-pointed double-edged saber, followed by a dog, flew through the air and landed next to Jiang Zia. "Yang Jian? You've come. This is great. That's great." Yang Jian was a disciple of perfected Yu Ding. He was one of the top figures among the third-generation disciples of Chan's school. His 9 revolutions mystic art made him invincible. His mystical abilities were extremely powerful. "Martial nephew, please defeat the enemy quickly." At this moment, the morale of the army had plummeted, and if Yang Jian did not quickly restore it, there would be no need to fight this battle. Jiang Zia hurriedly asked Yang Jian to help. "A bunch of ants will break in a moment." Yang Jian raised his three-pointed double-edged saber and pointed it at the Shang army on the other side of the river. "Xiao Tianquan, devour them!" Woof woof, with a loud bark, the howling celestial dog leaped into the air. Its entire body exploded with light as it transformed into a humongous beast. Then, it opened its mouth and bit down, swallowing the Shang dynasty's army whole. "Immortal! Immortals! We have the help of immortals! Victory! 10,000 victories!" The low morale was instantly boosted. Jiang Zia quickly took the opportunity to lead his troops to the east, past Mengjin, and into the heart of the Shang dynasty. Preposterous! Seeing this scene, Tong Tian flew into a rage. Immortals are actually involved in a battle between mortals? Where are the rules? Immortals against immortals, and mortals against mortals. This was the default rule of the game. And now you, Primeval, are releasing immortals to deal with mortals? Wasn't this too shameless? You have Yang Jian, but I don't have anyone? Tong Tian waved his hand. "Kunpeng, lead the 10 demon generals and join the Shang dynasty. Beat them up." "Yes." Kunpeng, who had turned to Tong Tian, naturally knew that he was here as a fighter, so he had to show his value. Kunpeng bowed and accepted the order. Then, he led the 10 demon generals and his subordinates, the Frost Dragon and Ice Toads, and soared into the sky, rushing towards Chaoga. The primeval Lord of Heaven naturally knew about it. "Junior brother Tong Tian, aren't you being too impatient?" Primeval Lord of Heaven smiled and shook his head. He waved his flag and said, "Randang, lead the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void Palace to Western Zhou and meet up with Jiang Zia." "Yes." Randang accepted the order and led Guangchengzi and the other 12 golden immortals to Western Zhou. "Goddess, Luya requests an audience." In Nuwa Palace, Nuwa's maidservant reported to Nuwa. "Luya?" Nuwa nodded. "The grudge between Kunpeng and Luya also needs to be resolved. Forget it, let him settle the karma in the great God-confirmant war." With a wave of her hand, a scroll fell into the maidservant's hand. "Hand the mountain river map to Luya." "10th Prince, Goddess ordered me to give you this." The maidservant walked out of Nuwa Palace and handed the mountain river map to Luya. "Thank you, Goddess. Thank you, Goddess." Seeing the mountain river map, how could Lu Ya not know what Nuwa meant? He hurriedly took the mountain river map and kowtowed heavily. Then, a golden light rushed up and Lu Ya rushed to Western Zhou. It can't be right? They're playing so big at the beginning? Primordial Beginning sent Randang and the 12 Golden Immortals, while Nuwa sent Lu Ya. Tongtian released Kuanping and the 10 Directions Demon Generals. It looked like they were planning to fight to death from the beginning. However, this was also in line with Li Yu's interest. The fiercer they fought, the better. Middle-earth. With Yang Jian's help, the Western Zhou army also sent Daoist Randang and the 12 Golden Immortals, as well as Lu Ya. They were simply too powerful. They pushed forward for thousands of kilometers and broke through dozens of cities. No one could stop them. Then, Western Zhou's attack was blocked. Heavenly Cycle Star Array? In front of the city, starlight shone within 1,000 kilometers. It was the Heavenly Cycle Star Array of the ancient demon Heavenly Courts. Kuanping, you traitor, you will die a horrible death. When Lu Ya saw the Heavenly Cycle Star Array, he was so angry that sparks flew everywhere. The He Tu and the Luo Shu had fallen into Kuanping's hands. The Heavenly Cycle Star Array of the ancient demon Heavenly Courts had also fallen into Kuanping's hands. These should have been Lu Ya's. Fellow Taoist Lu Ya, don't be angry. Randang looked up at the Heavenly Cycle Star Array in front of him and shook his head with a smile. If all the heavenly lords of the ancient heavenly courts were here and set up the Heavenly Cycle Star Array, we would indeed not be able to break it. However, how many people does Kuanping have now? This array is incomplete. It's not difficult to break it. Indeed. Guang Chengzi nodded. Kuanping only has 12 golden immortals that are worthy of his attention. The rest are just ants. Only the central Ziwei altar is considered powerful. The other arrays are just a bluff. Let's enter the array and meet this Kuanping. A bronze lamp rushed out of Ronding's head and shone brightly. He led everyone into the Heavenly Cycle Star Array. Rumble. Stars fell like rain. Starlight flashed in the sky, shaking the Heavenly Cycle Star Array. The stars exploded with resplendent light and smashed down on the people who had entered the array. It's just the power of the stars. Randang waved his hand. The bronze lamp above his head released flames that filled the sky and blocked the falling stars. Everyone attacked and swept past. They broke through the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise arrays and charged towards the central Ziwei altar. Kill our way to the Ziwei altar? Very good. Kuanping's eyes shone with a vicious light. Chapter 1355. The Heavenly Cycle Star Array is only SOSO. Randang swept through with the 12 golden immortals. They were unstoppable. The soldiers of the Shang dynasty, the itinerant cultivators, and the cultivators of the Jia order were no match for the Shang dynasty's army. They could not even withstand a single strike from the Shang dynasty's army. Those who were qualified to be on the list had a wisp of true spirit land on the God Conferment platform. Those who were not qualified to be on the list could only turn into ashes. They swept through without any difficulty. Everyone looked down on the Heavenly Cycle Star Array that did not live up to its name. Boom! When everyone arrived at the Purple Star altar, there was a shocking explosion in the void. Kuanping jumped out of the array platform with his 12 subordinate. With the power of the Heavenly Cycle Star Array, they transformed into the Star Lords of the ancient heavenly courts. Their auras soared. Thank you for breaking the 4 symbols constellation formation and allowing me to use the star annihilation technique. Kuanping laughed loudly and leaped up. He released the He Tu and Luo Shu and charged towards Randang. At the same time, the 10 Directions Demon General and the Ice Dragon Toad under Kuanping faced the 12 Golden Immortals of the Jade Void Palace. Star Annihilation Technique? You have some ability. Randang was also a quasi-sage, and was on par with Kuanping. It was difficult to determine the victor. Originally, Ronding's chance of winning was on the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void. With the cultivation of the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void and their Dharma treasures, it was not difficult to deal with the demon general. However, at that moment, Kuan Peng used the star annihilation technique and the power of the heavenly cycle star array on the demon general. He was actually on par with the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void. However, treasure, please turn around. The addition of Luya in the Jade Void lineup was the key to breaking the situation. While Guang Qingzi used the Heaven Seal to knock Demon General Fei Lian back, Luya took the opportunity to release the immortal-slaying flying saber. A white rainbow rushed up and landed on Fei Lian's head. The gourd spun and Fei Lian's head fell to the dust. He instantly fell to the ground and died. Kuan Peng, this is not fate. Today is the day of your tribulation. Guang Qingzi, who was now free, waved the cyclic heavenly seal and faced Bai Zhe together with Reverend Huang Long. After a few moves, Huang Long released the dragon locking ring and trapped Bai Zhe for a moment. Guang Qingzi took the opportunity to slap down the sky flipping seal. With just one smash, Bai Zhe's brain was smashed and it fell to the ground. Following that, Luya used the immortal slaying flying saber to sneak an attack on Ji Meng. After losing 3 golden immortals, it was obvious that Kuan Peng's side was going to lose. Guang Qingzi, perfected Yellow Dragon, Chijingzi, and Luya, who were free to attack, killed the 12 golden immortals under the Kuan Peng. Not long after, the Ziwei altar was destroyed and the 12 golden immortals under the Kuan Peng had all perished. The Hollow Jade Palace did not suffer any losses. In this battle, the Jade Void sect won a complete victory. At least you didn't embarrass me. The primeval Lord of Heaven stroked his beard and smiled, nodding slightly. It's too early for you to celebrate. His Majesty Emperor Yu was also smiling. If I don't let you bleed, how can you feel pain? How can you be willing to invest? In the original God Conferment plot, the Grand Master of Heaven was heartbroken when he saw that his disciples had suffered heavy casualties. In the end, he picked up the immortal vanquishing 4 swords and personally went down. Primeval Beginning was even more shameless. When he saw that the 12 golden immortals had their 3 flowers cut off by Yun Zhao's primordial chaos golden chalice, he was so angry that he ignored his status and bullied the weak. He swung the Jade Rui and smashed the 3 Shao immortals into ashes. Therefore, Liu naturally wanted to make them feel pain. Of course, he wanted them to fight out their true anger. Kuan Peng, hand over your life. The 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void and Luya were free to meet up with Randang and send Kuan Peng to the God Roll. Everyone was in this heaven and earth killing tribulation. Only by sending the enemy to the God Roll and filling the spots on the God Roll could they avoid this killing tribulation. Therefore, no one would let a person like Kuan Peng off. Moreover, Luya had long wanted to deal with Kuan Peng. The mountain river painting. Suppress. Luya roared and gathered all the spiritual energy in his body. He drove the mountain river map and suppressed the Kuan Peng. Facing the siege of Randang, a quasi-sage, and the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void, as well as the attack of the mountain river painting released by Luya, Kuan Peng could not resist even if he was a quasi-sage. However, Kuan Peng did not show any surprise. Instead, he sneered. Roar! A shrill fox howl soared into the sky. Monstrous demonic aura rushed into the clouds. In the broken heavenly cycle star formation, 365 brilliant stars suddenly lit up. The 365 resplendent orbs of light actually reformed into the massive heavenly cycle star formation. Golden rainbows filled the sky, brilliant and brilliant. However, in this brilliant golden radiance there were pitch-black and deep black holes. Endless suction force suddenly erupted. In an instant, the black holes were aimed at Randang, Luya, and the 12 golden immortals. The vast and boundless suction force crazily sucked everything, The vitality and spiritual chi in their bodies surged wildly into the black holes like a river bursting its bank. How terrifying was the heavenly cycle star formation formed by the demonic sky-devouring skill. The spiritual chi that Luya used to drive the mountain river painting dissipated crazily. The radiance of the mountain river painting on the mountain was instantly extinguished. At the same time, Randang and the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void felt the spiritual chi in their bodies rapidly depleting. This is a nine-tailed fox. Everyone was shocked to discover that a white-clothed woman with monstrous demonic aura appeared beside Kuan Pung. Behind the woman, 9 snow-white foxtails were wriggling like dragons. Su Daji? This is Su Daji. She's just a little fox demon. Why is she so powerful? Everyone present knew about Su Daji, that vixen's background. She was just a pawn of goddess Nviwa, a little fox with a shallow cultivation. However, why was this little fox so powerful? Thank you for killing the 10 demon generals and the frost dragon Ice Toad. After absorbing their power, I now have the power of 12 golden immortals. Su Daji's face was ferocious. All of you must die. You evil creature, how dare you disobey me? When Nuwa saw this scene, her phoenix-like eyes widened and her face flushed red. She felt so embarrassed that she could not show her face. As a demon saint, the spy that she had personally sent actually betrayed her? How could Nuwa have the face to meet others? How dare you, evil creature! Nuwa was furious as she waved her hand and slapped out. The mountain river painting in Lu Ya's hand that had extinguished its radiance suddenly burst out with endless light. Vast and boundless power gathered on the mountain river painting. Nuwa, you're a saint after all. How dare you bully the weak? Don't you have any shame? A green rainbow suddenly rushed out of Kuan Peng's hand. The Grandmaster of Heaven's Qingping sword burst out with a destructive sword chi and slashed heavily on the mountain river painting. The power that Nuwa used to attack with the mountain river painting was completely destroyed by the Grandmaster of Heaven's sword. Luya, hand over your life. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Kuan Peng waved the He Tu and Luo Shu and slapped the head of Luya, who was being sucked by Su Daji's vitality and spiritual chi. With a bang, his brain burst out. Luya did not even have time to scream before he died instantly. His cultivation had been sucked clean by Su Daiji, leaving only a pile of ashes. Chapter 1356. With Lu Ya's death, Su Daiji's power became stronger. The heaven-devouring demonic technique had a special characteristic. Whoever it swallowed, it would have the power and ability of that person. The vicious great emperor had relied on this technique to dominate an entire era. His might had shaken the ancient times, and no one could stand up to him. At this moment, Su Daiji had turned from an ordinary little fox into a peerless expert with the power of 13 golden immortals. Luya and I are mortal enemies. Although I will offend Nuwa if I kill him, there's nothing I can do. However, Randang and the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void are not people I can kill. If Su Daiji wants to kill them, let her. Kuan Peng was an old fox. How could he not know the temperament of the heavenly lord of primordial beginning? Once he dared to touch Randang and the 12 golden immortals, a Pangabanner might fall from the sky. A Randang and the 12 golden immortals were from the Jade Void sect and Orthodox Taoism. Their cultivation was purer than Lu Ya's, and their foundation was more solid. However, in the heavenly cycle star formation formed by the heaven-devouring demonic technique, their cultivation was rapidly draining. They could not resist at all. The 3 flowers above their heads dissipated, and the 5 chi in their chests disappeared. The cultivation of Randang and the 12 golden immortals dropped rapidly. The heavenly cycle star formation formed by the heaven-devouring demonic technique was comparable to the primordial chaos golden chalice. Would I tell you that I was the one who did it? Liu smiled. Even if Su Daiji had activated the heaven-devouring demonic skill and evolved the heavenly cycle star formation, and even if she had swallowed the 10 demon generals and the ice dragon toad, it was impossible for her to suppress Dipankara, a sage-to-be, along with the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Virtual Realm and Luya. But who asked her to have the Myriad World Mall? The life of a cheat was awesome. Big Bossly said, "My surname is Lei. I don't leave my name when I do good deed." Through Su Daiji's hands, Liu transferred a force through the system through the Myriad World Mall and gave Su Daiji a buff, increasing her attack power by 10 times. A perfected Yellow Dragon was the first to die. Following closely behind, perfected Yu Ding, the immortal of the South Pole. The 12 golden immortals died one after another. Finally, evildoer, you shall die a horrible death. Burning Lamp cursed with difficulty and fell to the ground. Under the Jade Void sect, from Randang to the 12 golden immortals, all of them died and turned into ashes. They were completely swallowed by Su Daiji. You killed them all? Kuan Ping was so scared that his face turned pale. This was the entire fortune of the primeval Lord of Heaven. They were all destroyed by you just like that. Do you still have a way out? Why didn't the heavenly primogenitor do anything? That was impossible. Something's not right. How could the heavenly Lord of Yuanshire be such a rule-abiding person? If you dare to touch his disciples, I'll send an ancient banner over. Kuan Peng looked at the sky with confusion. He saw 4 beams of sword light shooting up into the sky and covering all directions. All right. Immortal slaying sword formation. This was the reason why the primeval Lord of Heaven did not make a move. The immortal slaying sword array could only be broken by the 4 sages. Even if primeval Lord of Heaven and Nuwa joined forces, they would not be able to break the immortal slaying sword formation. With Tong Tian blocking the door, the primeval Lord of Heaven and Nuwa could not make a move. After blocking for a while, Su Daiji killed Randang and the 12 golden immortals of the Jade Void under Li Yu's cheat. Tong Tian. The primeval Lord of Heaven's roar resounded through the clouds and shook the world. The resentment, grievance, depression, and embarrassment in it were simply indescribable. The primeval Lord of Heaven had activated the God-sealing array and let Jiang Zia preside over the God-sealing array. He had the home ground advantage. He wanted to ruthlessly trick Tong Tian and send all of his disciples to the God role. However, from the looks of the current situation, Tong Tian did not even lose a single strand of hair, while the primeval Lord of Heaven lost so badly that he even lost his pants. Ha 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 ha! The 4 immortal vanquishing swords flew through the air and returned to the Green Turing Palace. The Grandmaster of Heaven's laughter made the primeval Lord of Heaven's face swollen. Evil creature, die. The primeval Lord of Heaven had already lost all his face, so he might as well be shameless. The Panga banner shook, and a stream of chaos chi slashed down from the sky towards Su Daiji. Primeval Lord of Heaven, as a saint, how can you be so shameless? The Grandmaster of Heaven was hopping mad. He hurriedly controlled the Qingping sword in the Kuanping's hand to block the primeval Lord of Heaven's Panga banner. Evil creature, how dare you betray us? How dare you disobey us? When the primeval Lord of Heaven made his move, the furious Nuwa also made her move. Nuwa was a woman. To a woman, her breasts were more important than her face. In her anger, Nuwa no longer cared about her face. She wanted to kill this traitor first. Lady Daji, Kong Xian is here to protect you. The Dongwang bell soared into the sky, and its mighty bell chimes resounded through the clouds. A brilliant light shone, and the Dongwang bell emitted endless visions. It hung above Su Daji's head, firmly protecting her within. With a loud clang, heaven and earth shook and the void trembled. Thousands of miles of mountains and rivers were instantly pulverized. After that attack, Su Daiji was unharmed. Actually, with Kong Xian's strength, even with the Dongwang bell, he would not be able to block Nuwa's attack. However, it was Li Yu's fault for being able to cheat. The hammer of the Dongwang bell was created by Li Yu. Wasn't it easy to increase the power of the Dongwang bell? Humph! Nuwa snorted angrily, and the stately painting shot through the air. Even if they were shameless, it was enough for a saint to make a move once. If they made another move, it would not be shameless, but too shameless. In midair, the Qingping sword and the Panga banner exchanged blows and dispersed. It was as if a battle between saints had ended just like that. In fact, everyone knew that all of this had just begun. The primeval Lord of Heaven, who had lost even his pants, would definitely not let the matter rest. He would definitely contact the Buddhist saints at all costs and do his best to trample Tongtian. To the Buddhist saints, the hollow jade palace was already useless. The Grand Supreme Elder only had Xuandu as his disciple. The 8 immortals of the upper cave had not been born yet. As long as they joined forces with the primeval Lord of Heaven and trampled Tongtian, the Taoist sect. Would there still be a Taoist sect in the future? The primordial world would definitely be our Buddhist kingdom. Amitabha, Zhuanti, and even Tathagata were all smiling. They put their palms together and chanted, "Buddha is merciful. This is exactly what I need." Li Yu's eyes flashed. "I'll trick the primeval Lord of Heaven right from the start. Let him lose everything and let him erupt with true anger. Let him contact the Buddhist sects and fight with Tongtian until he bleed." Tongtian would definitely not be able to stop the alliance between the primeval Lord of Heaven and the Buddhist sect. He would definitely continue to rope in allies. Be it Mingyi, Zenyuanzi, Kongxian, or even the Holy Emperor of the human race and Haotian, he would find helpers. In the game between the two sides, all the forces in this world would be involved. When you can't leave, Zenyuanzi can go and find the primordial violet vapor. As long as he obtained the primordial violet vapor, Li Yu only needed to comprehend it once. He was very confident that he could deduce the key step of his own primordial violet vapor from the third step of the primordial chaos. As long as Li Yu advanced to the second step of the primordial chaos, these saints would have a good time. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.